Well, hello there, and welcome on into another episode of Oh So Curious times DCU Daily. We are here to talk about, of course, everything from the world of Hollywood. There's a new, fresh first look at Johnny Cage in the new Mortal Kombat movie. We have to talk about, of course, is Sadie Sink playing Jean Grey in Spider-Man 4? On the DC side of things, if you clicked on the thumbnail, you know that Colin Farrell is circling the drain. Well, not really the drain, but he is circling Sergeant Rock, and we will talk about that. It kind of depends on a few other things. So will all the pieces come, fit together? We'll get into that, of course. We do have to review Novocaine. We talked about it on Friday, and now, we have seen it. So we're gonna give you our review. Hopefully you have seen it, so you can tell us what you thought about it. Of course, beyond that, we have to talk about so much more. We've got other DC news. We've got stuff from Marvel. Avengers Doomsday. Is it the beginning of a new era of the MCU? Or is it actually wrapping up the multiverse saga? The Russo brothers have something to say about that. And of course, we will look ahead to this week's movies of the week, which will be coming up later in the week. As always, it's going to be, this week is going to be Snow White and the Alto Knights. No, that is not one movie. Snow White and the Alto Knights are two different movies, since they are not calling the Disney one Snow White and the Dwarves. 9. How many dwarves are there? The 9? Whatever. We're going to get into that and so much more. To do that, let's get the show started. All right, I'm back again. Tell your friends. I'll tell my friends. Hi, Liz. How are you doing today?
I'm well. It's the 7 dwarves. Please name them.
Oh, really? I will not even try because I did not do my homework for that.
Bruh, really?
Fun fact, there's
Motherfucker
only
really just
two-
said the 9 dwarves.
There's
I don't know.
only
I thought it was
two
like the
without a
number of
D
planets
again.
in the solar
That's how-
system. Like you heard about Pluto. That's messed up, right? And then it's it went down to 8.
Talking about?
Sorry, I was just giving you my psych reference for the day. John, how are you doing today?
I'm sick as fuck. So if I'm blowing my nose a lot, I'm gonna try and mute myself as much as I can, but I apologize.
Name the 7 dwarves, John. Name them.
Dopey, Bashful, Doc.
We got the hard ones out of the way.
Yeah, play me off. Play me off, Sam. Anyway.
Sleepy.
That was for
grumpy.
for your own
grumpy,
good.
Happy.
We got
These-
them all.
These are like all the different phases of John. Actually, they're not just dwarves.
Sleepy, grumpy, happy, Doc, bashful,
Easy.
doopy, it's dopey, sneezy. There it is. We got there. I knew 3 of them off the top of my head, so that's almost half.
Oh,
so,
clearly Disney didn't care because they didn't even put them in the title.
Well, we
I
can
think
fucking blame Peter Dinklage for that one, jipping 9 little people, 9 according to Dan, but 7 little people out of a job because Peter Dinklage is a dickhole. But that's
But I don't think that's how it started, though. Didn't it start where they were going to originally use just average-sized individuals?
Well,
and
what
then
happened was they
CGI them,
planned
and then
it.
people got all up in arms.
They planned it. Rachel Zegler was going to be part of it, and then they were like, and then when it was announced, Peter Dinklage was like, "This is offensive to little people," so they nixed little people from the movie that they were going to be dwarves, and then a bunch of little people came out like, "Bro, you're fucking just because you're the most famous little person that can actually get jobs, you just gypped us out of 7 of us out of a job, which is like the role of a lifetime. So fuck you, by the way." And so there was like a fucking little people war and everything, and then and so they're like, "Oh, we're gonna make them magical creatures," and then a behind the scenes
And they
photo was
look like
leaked, and it
absolute
looked like
shit.
shit.
Look
And
like
so they're like,
shit.
"All right, we're gonna CGI them," and they're like, "Okay, cool, this is nightmare fuel." He's like, "Well, we already spent a shit ton of money on this, so we're gonna head with it anyway." So there we are. Yeah.
Caleb is like, "Whoa, what is it?" Good. Never mind. We're just gonna get things started because before we go any further off track, we do have the the music that will play. By the way, today, if somebody's going long, It's unfiltered. Anybody can play anybody off except Liz because Liz doesn't have access to it. But she can ask one of us who does to play the other person off camera.
I'll just make a
But
bored face and be like,
yes, we could do that. Well, in the meantime, let's hit that news intro.
I think that's just your resting face, so that's going to be very
Ouch.
hard to discern.
Ouch.
that's fair. I'd rather that than a resting bitch face.
All right, let's hit the news intro, and then we'll be right.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always the number two.
All right, mister, I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding.
Robert
You're
Downey.
kidding. I can't open the envelope without
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne. I like that. You're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That
Okay, we don't need to see Colin's.
right there.
You look ridiculous.
Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Wow.
All right. Well, as we always do, we start the show off with the news from Hollywood. There's a lot of news to get into, as is usually the case on a Monday, and today is still a Monday, at least on the East Coast, that is. For those of you joining us from other parts of the world where you have already crossed over onto the other side, well, of the time clock thingy, it's Tuesday. But in that case, we will say hello and welcome on in. Fiona's up, like it's 3 a.m. over there. 2 a.m.? 2 a.m. Yeah.
1:30
a.m.
in the
Oh,
morning.
Lenny's here. Hello,
Lenny's
Lenny.
there. Hi.
Lenny's neck of the woods, 2:30 in the morning.
That's a good question,
Fiona's
Lenny,
neck
because
of
it's
the
like 3 a.m. where you are. Like,
No, it's
why are you up?
1:30.
Please go to.
It's 1:30 in
1:30
Britain. It's
Sweden.
2:30 in
Please
France.
go to sleep.
Fiona is. It's 12:30. It's 12 o'clock where Caleb is.
Yeah, 12 o'clock p.m., not a.m.
PM, not AM. Correct.
We also have Enterprising in the chat, by the way. Monumental Comics. JB is here, of course. John, you sound so enthusiastic. I'm here.
Well,
Jesus.
I want you to get
Damn.
sleep.
Okay.
I want you
Well-
to get sleep. I care about your sleep health more than your participation here. I mean, we would love to have you all the time, but like also get some sleep. We appreciate
That's
that.
all right,
as
Lenny.
well.
John can't either, so it's fine.
Um,
It's fine.
Okay. You know what? The first news today is something that really bothered me. The Looney Tunes have been completely removed from Max. What the literal fudge? I don't understand it, because they just put a Looney Tunes movie in theaters. Now here's the thing, that Looney Tunes movie is actually being distributed by a third-party company that Warner Brothers sold it to. So technically it's still a Warner Brothers production. Sleep is what I usually do
The
when I
question is,
am
is it
very
going
tired.
somewhere? Is it going
but-
somewhere else? Is my question.
No,
Why
no,
would
no,
they-
but this is the
why would they
thing.
pull it if it's
So-
not going somewhere else.
Look, I used to have the subscription to Boomerang. I found out a couple of months ago that apparently they shut Boomerang down because Boomerang was where all these older cartoons were used to live, and it was its own streaming service. And I mean, honestly, you paid $5 a month to have it, like, or I think it was $3, whatever. But like $3 a month, it freaking runs itself. I'm like, it's more than enough money for stuff that's basically full of just archival, content. There wasn't a ton of new stuff being put on there. There were a few new things, but basically Looney Tunes used to live on Boomerang. Then I will not cuss, Caleb. I will not. Never mind. Okay. The Looney Tunes. I'm trying to stay on track here, guys. It's gonna be a long show if you don't stay on
And play
track.
yourself off. Play yourself off.
The Looney Tunes used to be on Boomerang. Now then I was like, okay, well, Boomerang's dead, but they were moving stuff over to Max. So they run Max. Now here's the thing, it's not like I need Looney Tunes to live life. It's not like it gives me sustenance, but it is something that I look forward to a lot, because every once in a while you want to tune in, you want to watch Bugs Bunny or Daffy Duck, or like something with Acme blowing up our favorite Roadrunner, and well, there's also the Martian. It's just all these characters. I love them. I grew up with them, and now it's not on Max. I mean, and then I read into this. apparently, like I said, that new movie that came out, which I think, John, you went to see that, right?
I
The Day
did
the
see
Earth
that.
Blew Up?
We could do like a side review of that because I'd love to talk about it.
So we will get into that in a little bit. So when we come around to your opinion on this, just let us know what you thought about the movie as well. But basically, it looks like Warner Brothers as a whole are trying to target, an adult and family audience and move away from kids content. To me, this is disappointing because now the only place I can get my Looney Tunes is, I guess I have to go buy it somewhere or rent it on iTunes or whatever, because it's not
media,
really.
Baby. Let's go.
It's not on a streaming service. I'm like, they removed all of it. I know they have a couple of limited things,
for sure.
but why should it's just it was there. I'm like, is it really that low of a viewership? And I get it, but it's just I really, you know what? I understand they don't want to pay to license something that not a lot of people are watching. I get that from the business perspective, but it's still disappointing because it's something that I really, really love. It's one of those things, right? Like, then they will come for you and like who will like stand up for your stuff. I'm like, this is the thing that I liked, and now this is gone. I'm like, this is happening to a lot of people who have lost, TV shows and movies off streaming services that they loved. But I just hope that it finds a place somewhere where I can go and watch it, even if it is like on Philo or Tubi, where there's a Looney Tunes channel. I can just put it on and watch something 24/7. But I mean, Liz, what are your thoughts on this? The fact that the Looney Tunes cartoons are no longer on Max, and even the idea that that new movie that just came out wasn't actually distributed by Warner Brothers. They sold it to a third-party distributor because they didn't want to put the money up to do that themselves.
So I had no idea it was on Max to begin with. I also had no idea that film was coming out until John mentioned it, and then they had like one movie poster in my theater about it. So clearly their marketing team has decided not to give a hot damn about them. I don't know what to tell you.
Yep.
Pretty much.
John, what are your thoughts? Are you surprised? Are you disgusted?
No, I'm not
are
shocked,
you
because David Zaslav's a fucking moron. He doesn't know how the film and television industry fucking works. Like, he understands like the reality. He was from Discovery, so he understood that aspect, but he doesn't understand this shit. He doesn't. And he's fucking his fucking company is losing money even more. So, like, we're cutting corners, but it's like, you're still losing money because now you're going to lose even more people that are no longer going to respect or like this company. And you're going to just lose everyone from this, because it's like these stupid little characters built this fucking company.
Yeah,
like pretty much like that. I mean, yes, like from the animation department, yes, but it's like partly why they became like they fucking built. This is the place that, Warner Brothers is the company that Looney Tunes built. Like, that's what it is. Whatever you want to say with that. But it's like, and say what you will about Disney and Disney Plus. I say that about it all the time. Fuck Disney. I still hate Disney, but at least like you can find some of the weirdest, most obscure fucking like shorts that you didn't know existed on Disney Plus. Like, I remember when I was trying to watch like one movie that I had not seen like every day for like a year, a couple of years ago. When I didn't feel like watching a full movie, I would just go to Disney Plus and just watch like a short, just like, and the thing is, I'm like, oh, this is still like history in a way. It's still like, you're still kind of learning about it, and they're still like enjoyable. Like, and you could like find like so many weird fucking shorts on Disney Plus of like all these older, like, of like Daffy Duck and, Goofy and
Porky
all that
Pig.
stuff.
Yeah, it's
So you can find all those characters on Disney Plus. And we had the same thing for Max. Not anymore, because David Zaslav is a fucking idiot. And he's like, oh, he's looking at it from a short-term point of view rather than a long-term point of view. Short-term, sure, it's going to cut costs. It's going to cut some corners. You're going to save like pennies, but then you're going to have fans of Looney Tunes and fans of like these characters that are going to be like, well, fuck you. If you're going to treat your like hugely important historic characters like this, then I don't want to support this, and they're going to leave. And so you're going to have all these people that are going to leave in droves, never watched Warner Brothers again. And in the long term, you're going to even lose even more money. Sure, you might save like $3, but you're gonna lose 300. So it's like that's what's gonna happen. Like you're gonna lose. Like that's why Superman is so integral, because apparently that's the one fucking thing that David Zaslav managed to do right by getting Peter Safran and James Gunn a part of this and getting them to pretty much have carte blanche, do whatever they want. So that's why Superman is like the thing that'll like fucking keep Warner Brothers a company rather than being bought out by somebody else. So it's like, well, we'll see. Hopefully that, Superman is as good as it is, because then like Warner Brothers will stay afloat, because if it's not, WB is going to go the way of 20th Century Fox, like we reported a couple weeks ago. So whoops-a-daisies.
Yeah. I mean, look, here's the thing. It's like, I think one of you guys were saying in the chat, I think it was, well, Antony said it, but also Enterprising saying it's like if, Paramount Plus all of a sudden removed SpongeBob and all Nickelodeon content, or, if Disney all of a sudden took away Mickey Mouse content. Look, when it comes down to something like this, I feel like Looney Tunes is such a core part of the Warner Brothers identity that you can remove a lot of stuff, but like this is a brand exercise more than anything else. And I realize there's still a few things that are on there that are mostly like more recent content, but all the classic stuff's gone, which I just don't appreciate that at all. Like I mentioned earlier, as it says in the article, they sold their distribution rights for the Day the Earth Blew Up Looney Tunes movie to Catch Up Entertainment, which is an indie distributor. And the movie has a really good Rotten Tomato score. The critics like it.
I like it.
And yeah, I mean, the people who went to see it liked it. I mean, John, you can talk about it in a second, but
fucking marketed at all.
I mean, it was originally made for HBO Max, but then they decided to put it in a movie theater. Okay, good on that. But they've canceled Sesame Street. Now Looney Tunes becomes the latest casualty. I just feel like, again, I understand that, they want to make money. And look, Lenny's making a good point. David Zaslav has helped Warner Brothers pay off billions of dollars in debt that they, basically inherited in the sale from AT&T, because AT&T loaded billions of dollars of debt onto Warner Brothers while they owned them. They ran the studio into the ground, and then they sold it to Discovery. And Discovery was like, we just took on like over $50 billion in debt. We have to make sure to get rid of this, because Discovery as a company had a surplus. They had money in the bank. They weren't in debt. Buying Warner Brothers brought like over $50 billion of debt into the company. And so David Zaslav has been very cutthroat so they can get out of that. But I still think that you have to be a bit more nuanced, because Looney Tunes is such, like I said, it's more than just more. It's not just content. Looney Tunes is a part of the studio's identity. Looney Tunes is like, it's like the water tower that you associate with Warner Brothers.
Bunny was on the WB like logo.
In the logo, years. Like eating a carrot. Like it's a branding exercise. And this is where, like, to them, Bugs Bunny is what Mickey Mouse is to Disney, right? What SpongeBob is to Nickelodeon, or to the larger Paramount company. There's certain things where you just don't just omit that. I think that, to me, that's really the biggest thing here. So, John, you saw the Day the Earth Blew Up. So do you want to give us a quick summary of what you thought about it? Because of course that is out there. So for those of us who want to try to save this, franchise as a whole, I suppose if you go see the movie and it does well, there's a potential for them to do more Looney Tunes content and potentially bring the old stuff back again. What did you think about the movie that is out in theaters right now?
I thought it was a perfect Looney Tunes movie. Is it the greatest thing ever? No. Is it the greatest animated feature that I've ever seen? No. But it's perfectly Looney Tunes. And if you love Looney Tunes, you will love this movie. The animation is fantastic. You can tell that they put a lot of love and care into it. And even like kind of did like I don't know, I kind of feel like it was a meta joke early on in the beginning with Farmer Jim's character, where like you don't see him actually move. And even like with the exception of like a few frames of animation, which was really funny. Like, and speaking of funny, like we got, like most of the humor hit, and it was really funny. And it, like, Daffy Duck's great, Porky Pig great. They have great chemistry with one another. and they have like a good like back and forth, and they have like a good amount of like history with each other, and like that the relationship develops. It's perfectly silly. They understand the characters. And it's like I don't want to spoil it too much, because like I would say please go see this movie. Please go see it. Like I know our audience isn't very big, but like any amount of, I know like the fucking economy is fucking shit right now, and people don't have the money to see a movie. Just like 10-15 bucks. Don't even get popcorn, don't even do that. Just go to the theater, go to your closest theater. Please go see The Day the Earth Blew Up. It's so funny. It's quick. It's 90 minutes. It's, it's very simple and to the point. It's so highly enjoyable. Bring your kids if you have any. Bring a friend. Like, yeah, exactly. It would be like if Disney ditched Mickey Mouse. It just doesn't make sense. And I like it was just so. And also, if you love, like, it was homaging like 50s B movies as well. Like that was great. As someone who likes, like, older like films and all that shit. That was very nice to see. But yeah, like pretty much everything about this movie, like it's just one of those movies that just gets better the more I think about it. Like at first I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty good, but now it's like it's like getting even better for me personally. But yeah, I think it's just like a perfect little movie. Like it just works. I don't really know how to explain it. You just kind of
I mean, look, it's
for yourself, but it's like it's one thing. It starts off one way, but then it like goes twists and turns into what the plot eventually is, and it just works as like an overarching. It feels like a 90-minute Looney Tunes short, and I really liked it. And it's not a bad way, in a good way, and I love that.
I mean, look, just by seeing the images on IMDb, I'm like, look, the 2D animation is there. This feels like classic 2D animation in a way that you don't see much at all these days. So I appreciate that. It kind of throws you back, and yet this is something that was made to be released in 2025, right? It's not something that was made in the 60s. It's like, it's still possible to do this, and they've clearly done that here. So I would love to see more of it. I mean, I also saw in one of the articles that we were putting up earlier, let me see if I can pull that back up, that essentially that Acme versus Coyote movie may not be completely dead. There may be efforts to potentially bring it back. And
for years though.
Yeah, I mean, it's still, I mean, a very small chance, but I suppose that it may yet be somewhat possible to save that movie, which I wouldn't mind seeing that somewhere. Like some streaming service can pay for it and then have it be put up there. So, but hey, you know what? It bothers me. It hurts me. I'm disappointed. The original Looney Tunes cartoons are no longer available on Max. And I just feel like, for a franchise that is so essential to the identity of Warner Brothers, the studio, the streaming service that studio, serves, which is Max, should feature more Looney Tunes, especially the originals, because it just for the sake of just having it for archival purposes, but also just, I bet you a lot of people still would have checked it out. Obviously, the numbers are telling them something different, so maybe that's why they did it. Now, we do have other news to get into. Liz stepped away because she was like, I don't have anything else to add to the conversation, but we do have to get into some Marvel conversation. So, Liz, let's dive into some Avengers talk, shall we? So, Avengers Doomsday is coming out next year. It's about to start filming. The scripts are done. And recently, the Russo brothers were talking to Omelette, which is one of the news outlets that has been interviewing them. And, of course, every other day we hear something new with what the Russo brothers said about the movie. So today, what I came across was basically, I forget if it was Anthony Russo or Joe Russo, whichever of the brothers said that.
Probably Anthony.
Probably Anthony. So he said that we told an ending story with Endgame. Now we're going to tell a beginning story. And it's not like he was saying Doomsday is the beginning and Avengers Secret Wars is the conclusion. It's not. He was saying Doomsday and Secret Wars are a beginning story. It's starting up something new. It's a new beginning to the MCU. So my question for you, Liz, is: are you A, surprised that they're treating it as that, and then B, where do you think we are headed? Because the obvious response to this from a lot of comments that I saw online, people are expecting this, because Kevin Feige has said as much before, these next two Avengers movies to be basically the conclusion to the multiverse saga. But all of a sudden, the Russo brothers are saying this is a beginning of a new story, a new beginning for the MCU. So, what about the multiverse saga? I'm like,
we've got the timelines, babe. I mean, we can do whatever we want. Yeah, we're going to end this story, then we're going to start a new story, so they can bring in new actors to play the same characters that we all know and love. Hopefully, bring in some new characters. This is what they've been heading towards this entire time. So this doesn't surprise me at all. I'm surprised that it took them so long to actually put it to words and say it like that. But I mean, if anyone's been paying attention, that's what's happening. That's what they're doing. That's what the whole point of this is. They said it's the new era of Marvel. So hopefully we get some good casting for these new heroes of ours, and hopefully they stick around and they want to commit to the 20 years that we got with most of the other previous actors. But we'll see what happens. I mean, again, this is not a surprise, and the fact that anybody is surprised by it is like, all right, because they've pretty much been saying this all year so far. But okay, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's surprising to me in the sense that it's surprising to me because, like, again, it's meant these Avengers movies are meant to feel like conclusions to a whole saga. So for them to say this is the beginning of a new one, I'm like, are we just gonna pretend that the multiverse saga didn't exist? Or is the multiverse saga going to continue? Like,
I think they are. I think they're going to do their damnedest not. So here is the problem with doing this, though, is they know they have to recognize the previous storyline to appease fans, but they're trying to start fresh. So they're gonna try really, really hard to act like it never happened and then they weren't a part of it, because technically these people weren't a part of it. It's a completely different storyline. It's a completely different timeline, completely different dimension. They weren't there. They weren't a part of that world. But movie makers understand how fans are, how loyal the fans are. We're going to need some kind of acknowledgement, again, because you can't have another Captain America without referring to our previous Captain America. You can't have a new Doctor Strange. You can't have a new Wanda. You can't have a new Thanos without talking about the previous entities. But it's going to be a fine line. It's going to be interesting to see how they play it. To be perfectly frank, they're probably not going to do it right. They're probably not going to do it justice the way that they should. But again, they're walking a delicate tightrope with that one, and it's a problem that they've created, of course. So we'll see what happens. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's also one of the other quotes that we got from them was basically they implied that RDJ's Iron Man is somehow going to be connected to the Doctor Doom. Now, this is something when I say imply,
supposedly he's the variant of Doctor Doom. Yeah.
They haven't really said this. I think they haven't directly hinted at this. It's sort of implied in what they're saying, because when they were asked about, well, can you tell us a little bit more about, Doctor Doom and, what's his origin? And they're like, well, we can't explain it because it's part of the story, but there's nobody else in the world who could play the character the way he's about to, aka RDJ. So to me, like, a lot of people are looking at that and saying, does that mean that this version of Doomsday,
definitely going to be leaning on the variants time, the variant storyline. Because simply they have to, or else there's no other logical explanation behind using the same actors for, or essentially playing the same roles. So again, we have heard in the past that was the thought was that Iron Man was in fact a variant of Doctor Doom. Which I kind of like that as well, rather than the reverse, rather than saying Doctor Doom is a variant of Iron Man. I think that puts an interesting spin on it and kind of makes you think like, wait, hold on a minute. So we actually got the good version, or we'll see. But there's really, again, they've kind of written this into that, and there's really no avoiding it. And if they want to make it work and they want to somehow connect the timelines, somehow, be able to reference the other universe, and the other worlds, they're going to have to kind of fall back on the variant storyline in order to do that. So we'll see what happens, but this is what I'm thinking they're going to be doing.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, I for one am really curious to see how this Doctor Doom ties to the Tony Stark that we all knew. I mean, John, what are your thoughts on this news?
It's fucking stupid.
Cool. All right. Well, then we're gonna move on to the next piece of news today, which is, well, this is actually from last week, but we didn't get around to it, and I was trying to figure out how we missed it. But apparently, one of the executives, not executive producer, but one of the executives at Lionsgate revealed that John Wick 5 is now officially in development. It's confirmed. It's happening.
We knew it was. We knew it was.
We knew it was.
Said in the third one that there was going to be 5 films in total. So we already knew this was coming.
Yeah, but it wasn't officially confirmed till just now. The executive at Warner Brothers, not Warner Brothers, at Lionsgate mentioning it. So now that we have got the official green light, obviously, like you said, unofficially we have known this for a while. Going as far back as when the 4th movie was still in theaters, they were talking about, oh, you know what? I think we might want to do another one because of how well this is doing. It's not like the franchise is dying out. So not a surprise. Obviously, we know that they brought in Keanu Reeves to do a lot more work on the ballerina movie. Like, he's gonna have a significant role in there, like, because that movie takes place between, I believe, the 3rd and the 4th. Right? Is it the 2nd or the 3rd, or the 3rd and the 4th John Wick movies?
I believe it takes place between the 2nd and 3rd. Okay. It would also work between 3 and 4 as well.
Okay, so let's just say 2nd and 3rd, but like, so basically it's not meant to take place after John Wick 4. It's a bit of a prequel in that sense. So we're gonna see a lot of John Wick in it. We've seen him in the trailer, so he's gonna be a significant part. The director of the franchise went back and shot a lot of action sequences to add in.
During 3, it should be during 3. That's when he punches his ticket. It should be during 3.
Fair enough, but I mean, hey, where do you think the 5th movie can even go? Like, I saw that article. I think it was on Collider or Screen Rant. It was in Collider where they were like, "Please stop. We don't need John Wick 5." I'm like, look, the way the 4th movie ended, you could take it as John Wick did his thing. He finally is not running.
Flux. Just keep killing him and bringing him back. I'll be thrilled. I'll be happy with every fucking.
We should bring in the Lazarus Pit. Just fuck it. Just go for it.
I love it.
I mean, John, what do you think? Because the Continental TV show on Paramount, was it Paramount? Where did it end up? It was on Peacock. Peacock had it. I mean, it was originally supposed to be on like Starz, which is that Lionsgate streaming service, and then it like moved around. But that wasn't a very good show, if I remember correctly. Like, the Continental wasn't very well received.
It was supposed to be a show.
Yeah.
And it like was apparently like really bad, so they just made it a 3-episode miniseries.
Lenny's saying it was. Caleb is saying it was John Wick's brother. I don't know if he's being serious or not.
It was his twin brother, Jeff Wick.
Well, Lenny has a good point. She said John Wick 5 should be the story about getting Sophia's kid to safety, which would make perfect sense. I'm totally down for that, even though I couldn't stand Halle Berry in the 3rd film. But that's just me personally. But again, I don't care. I would be happy with 50 John Wicks. Again, kill them every time if you have to. It's totally fine with me. I adore these movies. They're just stupid fun. And I don't want this train to end. Keep it going.
I'm just this is my concern. I mean, obviously the mainline movies have done really well. So like the 5th movie can go different places. Like, here's the thing. This would be the first movie where the narrative that had started in the first John Wick movie would no longer really directly tie in, because you can start a new adventure, right? Because literally the first 4 movies take, like, you can smash them together and it would feel like an episode of 24 or like a season of 24, because there's no time gaps. Like, it's just every movie picks up where the previous one left off. It feels like with the 5th one, they can go in a different direction. They can try something new, because now, as far as the world knows, John Wick is actually dead.
So I'm wondering, with his appearance in Ballerina taking place during the 3rd film, I'm wondering if that is what they're doing. Is they're just going back in time?
They're going back in time.
Yeah, that's
I don't know if I want to do, because like, why would you
John Wick mission or something?
But why would you call it John Wick 5? Like, then it's. I mean, I suppose that's not an official title. So
5, that's just the working title.
That's just the working.
It's the 5th movie, but maybe they'll make it like, for instance, like, I've seen some theories that, like, okay, what are we gonna do? Either John Wick isn't dead, and it's gonna be like an epilogue of sorts where he like does something to like live his peaceful life or something. Or I've also seen it where it's the tasks he did to leave the organization when he married his wife. Like that's what the fifth. It's
Yeah,
going to be a prequel, and it's going to be like
how he got out.
how he got out, and like it'll be a prequel to the first movie. So I could see them doing that because again, Keanu Reeves doesn't age, so it's fine. So they can make that work. Oh yeah, he's 20 years old. Just put a baseball hat on him, like what they do in the Saw franchise. Just baseball hat. Boom,
yeah.
There you go.
I mean, you could also like you said, it's that whole line in the first John Wick movie. He's like, the bodies he buried that day helped, put us where we are today as a family, or whatever. So I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Movie.
That would be a pretty, because that's kind of built into the mythology. I just personally, I'm like, if you're gonna do a fifth one, most people prefer forward momentum. So if they do decide to make this a prequel, then they need to really like make that the expectation up front. Because right now everybody's expecting, oh, where does he go next? The other thing I would worry about is if you're gonna really do a prequel, Keanu Reeves isn't getting any younger. Might as well move the story forward, and then you can years down the road like do a prequel with another actor taking over the character. But again, I'm thinking like really long term now, and I don't think most people right now would even want to consider the idea that somebody other than Keanu could even play John Wick. But it's happening. It's official. It's confirmed. So we'll see when more details come out. It was already pretty much happening. We just happen to now know for sure. So there's that. Now we also know for sure is that Sadie Sink is joining Spider-Man 4.
Caleb
so
knew what I was putting down, by the way.
Fair enough. Well, we know that Sadie Sink of Stranger Things fame has joined Tom Holland in the next Spider-Man movie. It's going to start filming later this year. The reason I bring this up, because we talked about this already last week when the news came out. Who is she going to be playing? Now, something that I was thinking about over the weekend, because a lot of people online have been speculating. There was a report months ago in December of last year, late December, it was around Christmas time, that Sadie Sink was being considered as a frontrunner to play the X-Men's Jean Grey in the new MCU. Or not the new MCU, in the MCU, I suppose. So now, however, I guess that means that she's going to be on the young, well, she's obviously on the younger side. She just turned 23, so we're not exactly getting like, what Famke Jensen, like the older Jean Grey, or like what we even got with Jennifer Lawrence back then. I forget how old she was exactly when they were doing X-Men First Class, but nonetheless, Sadie Sink was the front runner as late as December of last year for Jean Grey. Now that we know she's officially part of Spider-Man 4, does that mean that she is actually going to be playing Jean Grey in a Spider-Man movie? I mean, would you introduce a key X-Men character in a Spider-Man movie? Like, does it make sense to you, Liz?
No, it doesn't make sense at all because they're too close in age and the characters are vastly different in age. So that just the casting would be completely wrong unless they're doing some kind of Jean Grey goes back in time bullshit while she's working out her powers as a teen. I don't know, but to me, it wouldn't make any sense whatsoever.
I mean, it would. I mean, they kind of did the same thing with the new X-Men run. I know that was like the reveal that like Iceman was gay, was like, oh, because like Jean Grey was like, she was from a different universe. It wasn't time travel, it was multiverse shenanigans, where she was like pretty much like, oh, she's like, oh, this is Bobby Drake, and she's like, oh yeah, in my universe you're gay, and then he like just like 3 issues later just became gay, and it was very weird. And I know the LGBTQ community didn't really take too kindly to that, and the way it was like showcased was not very well done. So I mean, they could be doing something here, like Sadie Sink is like Jean, obviously like not doing that specific storyline, but Jean Grey coming in from like a different universe and like becoming part of this one or something. I can see them doing that because they did the same thing with the Marvels, just in reverse, where they put Monica Rambeau in the one, like not the X-Men universe, but an X-Men universe with like Hank McCoy at like, Kelsey Grammer coming back as Hank McCoy as Beast. So they could be doing something like that where like Jean Grey comes in and like maybe she's like kind of this mystery character. We don't quote unquote know who she is, but then it's revealed that because like everyone was like when Jake Gyllenhaal was cast as like Mysterio, they're like, like we're not gonna make him a villain, and then they make him a villain, and it's like, yeah, it's obvious. So it could be a number of different things. So that could be the case that she's Jean Grey. There's multiverse shenanigans. It is part of the multiverse saga. So I could see that happening. But if they're just making it specifically Spider-Man, I could see, I mean, they could be doing like, they're bringing in the actual Mary Jane, which would make no fucking sense to me because they already retroactively made Michelle Jones Watson and made her like kind of MJ, but not really. So I can't imagine them bringing in the actual Mary Jane Watson after they completely already fucked it up because they wanted to have their cake and eat it too by not having MJ, but having MJ. So, and like, yeah, you can make it, look, he dates only women named MJ, but it's like they already made one of them Watson. Like her last name was confirmed to be Jones Watson in No Way Home. So Peter be fucking MJs with last names of Watson. Like that doesn't really make a ton of sense to me. So I don't think she's going to be Mary Jane. I could see her being like Black Cat or Gwen Stacy. She wouldn't be the first Gwen Stacy, who's a redhead who has to dye her hair blonde. Hello, Bryce Dallas Howard. So I could see them maybe doing that. But the fact that she, yes, I mean, that's what this, I think, article pertains to. But yeah, she could be that.
That's what I was going to mention. Yeah. Firestar.
So, I've also seen a theory like, she could be Kitty Pryde because Kitty Pryde and Spider-Man dated in the Ultimate Comics. So there's that as well, but I don't think that'll be the case. But, it could be anything. We'll just have to, she could be a nobody character. She could just be like, it's Sadie Sink, but then it turns out like she's nobody. So
she could be a villain. Who knows?
Maybe. I've seen Screwball as like possible one. I'm like, ew, please God, no, not Screwball. She's such a fucking terrible character.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways you can go with this. Like you said, Gwen Stacy could be it. It could be Firestar. I wouldn't mind seeing any of those characters. Sadie Sink is obviously a great actress. She's up and coming. I think she fits in. She is younger than Tom Holland, so I suppose it would. I mean, I don't know if you want to make her a love interest. I mean, Tom Holland also looks like he could be 23, but he's also going to college in the movies, so I guess that would make sense. Like, you can buy it. Yush, by the way, is in the chat. Hello, Yush. We haven't seen you in a while. So tell us what time it is in India over there. He's saying, remember when Shailene Woodley was cast as MJ in Amazing Spider-Man 2? She was, and then all of her scenes were cut. So there's that. But yeah, we shall see. I mean, it's interesting, if they do go the direction of, like you said, Is it Firestar or is it Firestorm? Firestorm?
I think she was Firestorm in the initial show.
But isn't there a DC character
there's a character named Firestorm?
Yeah.
So they had to switch it to Firestar.
Okay. I was like, there's got to be some level of confusion there. Okay. Well, but hey, as far as which character she's playing, we don't know. We can only speculate, but it could be Firestar. It could be Gwen Stacy. Whichever direction they go, I'm sure we'll find out in a few months' time because we'll probably end up getting set photos, and that'll give us a better idea. Now, of course, we already have a trailer out for Lilo and Stitch. The movie comes out later this year. And today, I came across this. This is actually from over the weekend. And Disney sent out a press release. Everybody is caught on to this. The Lilo and Stitch trailer, which we talked about on the show last week, it is breaking all kinds of records. It's doing so well, and you know what? Just looking at the character design, you look at the trailer, the way the character moves, the way they have animated the character, just the look. It's gonna make money. It's gonna be, even if you think this is creatively bankrupt because they're doing another live action remake, this movie will make money.
He's
and
adorable.
And when you look at the numbers now, this is actually from Walt Disney's. This is the press release. This is the article from Walt Disney's website. They're saying that the trailer set a record as the second most viewed Disney live action trailer of all time, second only to 2019's The Lion King. It came in with 158 million views in the first 24 hours. So that's pretty big. Now, of course, we've talked about like the biggest trailers. You've got like Deadpool, Wolverine. You've got the Superman trailer did really, really well. The Avengers Endgame trailer, both the teaser trailer and the full trailer are in the top 10 list of all time. Recently, The Last of Us Season 2 trailer broke all kinds of records for Max for a TV show. But now when you look at these numbers, this is for Disney live action trailers, beating out pretty much everything but The Lion King. Liz, are you surprised that this trailer has done as well as it has? And what does this tell you about what we should expect from the box office for this movie when it does come out?
No, they have been marketing this relentlessly. Disney has consistently been putting out Lilo and Stitch merchandise. I mean, quite frankly, from the cartoon, from the animated film to now the unveiling of this live action film, the merchandise has not stopped. And I know because I follow a Disney shopper, so it always kind of surprised me. I was like, wow, why are they focused so heavily on Lilo and Stitch? They're always putting out new merch specifically for Lilo and Stitch, and this makes perfect sense to me. I have a nephew who is absolutely obsessed with Stitch. It's his favorite character. So this is going to be gangbusters. This is gonna blow the Moana 2 numbers out of the. It's just going to be fucking crazy. I'm really, really excited for it, even though I think that yes, they could have done a little better with his rendering. I would have liked to see him a little more blue, a little brighter blue, but
it's a little worn, the color,
look
right?
At how goddamn. I mean, yeah, he looks like a stuffed animal that's been through the wash a couple of times, but
yeah.
Oh my God, I'm freaking pumped for it. Everyone's really excited. I think the casting they did was really great for Lilo and her sister. So I mean, I'm all about it, man. I can't wait. I really can't. Look at him. Look at him. My God, he's adorable.
Who knows? They might have even been using some practical versions, like with Baby Yoda, with Grogu. Like they had some practical versions of the character as well as some animated versions. And then there was some puppeteering going on. So maybe there's, I don't know. Maybe there's shots in this movie where it wasn't entirely CGI. Like I wouldn't be surprised. But it's just you look at the comparison between all these moments from the show versus the live action movie. I like it. I like the design. I'm like, this is the biggest thing that you had to sell me on was the design of Stitch. And then the casting for Lilo also, I think, like you said, is almost perfect. I love how, we went from an unbranded jar of peanut butter to Nutella. So there's a little bit of brand placement there. So I get that. But again, they're not shying away.
Spam, though.
Was it spam? All right. Well, you know what? He's getting Nutella this time.
It should have been.
Should have been spam. There you go. By the way, I don't know why I'm being canceled in the chat. You guys do realize I have 50 screens in front of me. So if John said something, I might have been smiling at something else, not what John was talking about, because I don't even remember when he mentioned Iceman. I had to kind of go and I have like something else going on the side that I had to like pay attention to for a moment.
You're good.
We were
anyway,
just joking around.
Okay.
It's all. It was just a dumb joke. That's all. You're not being actually canceled. You're just
all good. Well,
not yet anyway.
All right. Well, not yet.
We'll
I guess there's hope for me yet.
Okay, if anybody's getting canceled from this fucking channel, it's me first. All right, with the amount of bullshit that comes out of my mouth.
It's good to have goals, I guess.
Yeah.
There you go. Caleb saying Lilo and Stitch is kind of the Superman story. Yeah, I mean it's almost like you're watching Man of Steel, but for kids. It's an alien first contact story. I will not take the bait, John. I think Man of Steel is fantastic, but we are going to move on to the next thing on the show.
By the way, Lilo and Stitch remake sucks. I'm going to go watch the original.
Cool.
Okay.
While you go do that, John, we are going to move on to the quick hits. So before you do leave, actually, you know what? I'll hit the music. Let's do this thing. No, I know you're sticking around. So let's talk about the quick hits, shall we? I came across this literally this morning. It was one of the first things I saw on my phone, and it said Conan O'Brien is set to return as the host of the Oscars in 2026. It's barely, the ink has barely dried on the last Oscars, but not only is he coming back, but the entire producing team, including Raj Kapoor, Katie Mullen, and the executive and the producers Jeff Ross and Mike Sweeney, they're all coming back. So it looks like the behind the scenes talent is going to be the same, and we're going to get the same host back. I can't remember anybody saying a single bad thing about Conan O'Brien and the job that he did at the Oscars this year. So are you guys happy to see him come back next year?
Yeah.
No Jimmy Kimmel? Thank the Lord.
I was fine with Jimmy Kimmel too, but I thought Conan did great, so it'll be wonderful.
Conan's hilarious. He's fucking great.
I love Conan.
Love it. Give me more. Give me more of that fucking weirdo inbred redhead. I'll fucking take it. Gimme.
Cool. All right. Well, you know what? We're gonna get him next year. So stay tuned. In the meantime, guys, Starship Troopers. There's a reboot in the works, and guess what? District 9 director Neil Blomkamp is set to direct it at Sony, which probably means it's never gonna happen because every movie that he signs up for of late never happens.
Or it sucks.
Or it sucks. I mean, I'm starting to wonder, was District 9 a fluke? I mean, are you guys excited? Okay.
No, I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all. Like at Comic-Con, this is all of the actors are still, heavily lauded. Everybody loves it. It's that cult classic you love to hate watch and make fun of the whole time. It's still got tons of traction. So I think there are going to be a lot of butts in seats if it does in fact get made.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's one of those things where it's like, okay, maybe we can hold out hope. Like, what I would love to see is actually have it adapt the book instead of like Paul Verhoeven essentially taking the title of it and just literally making his own movie. I think he read like 2 sentences from the book and he's like, fuck this, I don't want to read this, I'm doing my own thing, and then just made his own movie. So if there's any hope for this, I would like to see it actually adapt the book. But considering Neil Blomkamp has not made a good or successful movie since District 9, it's unlikely that it will be good. I hope it is, because I've heard the book is amazing, and I've heard that most people who hate the movie love the book. So I'm just curious about it.
I mean,
I
it's
don't know
also,
if I'll watch it, but I'll see.
I mean, like you said though, John, the new movie will go back to the 1959 source material by Robert A. Heinlein, or Heinlein, yeah, and it's not going to be based on the 1997 movie. So, yeah, it looks like they're going to the source material, and that's what they're going to work off of. So that's good. Yeah. That's good. At least that, like you said, hopefully it gives it a chance of being more successful than because the original movie was a flop. It's become a bit of a cult classic, but it was a flop when it came out. But hey, moving on. As I mentioned earlier in the intro for the show, we have our first look as Karl Urban playing Johnny Cage. And I honestly am just more excited than ever because this looks amazing. This looks exactly like what I thought it would look like. In fact, it probably looks even better. I can't wait to see the trailer. I can't wait to see Karl Urban be playing yet another cool character. What did you guys think about this photo?
Awesome. Way to go, Karl. I might actually watch it. I didn't watch the first one. I heard it sucked. But
I love Karl. He's a lovely man. He's a lovely man. Happy to see him get some more work.
Yeah, Caleb coming in with like his best take of the night. Chris Pratt would have been okay. Chris Pratt would have been better as a lot of things.
Better Johnny Cage. Come on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But hey, you know what? This is our first look at Johnny Cage. Of course, we do see a couple other characters in the background as well. You've got Sonya Blade coming back. That character. You've got Mehcad Brooks playing Jax. He's back. So Liu Kang is back. I mean, we also got our first look at Adeline Rudolph as Katana. That looks nice. That looks pretty accurate to the game, actually. Then you also have this other character, Martin Ford, playing Shao Kahn. That's not how I spell my last name, but Khan can also be spelled as A-H-N, not H-A-N. So, but yeah, clearly the dude, Hiroyuki Sanada is back as Scorpion. Warms my heart. In light of Shogun, I can't wait to see him back in this. But yeah, we're getting ourselves some Luke Cage. I was surprised that they didn't put him in the first movie, but I'm so happy that he's back.
Luke Cage is the
Johnny Cage. Whatever, sorry. I'm mixing up my cages. All right, moving on to the next story. A new Predator movie is reportedly an animated feature and an anthology telling 3 separate stories of Predator warriors fighting in multiple eras. What do you think, John?
See, everybody, this is what happens when you fucking listen to the fucking fans. Isn't that crazy? People have been clamoring for after Prey. They wanted to see Predator in different eras. They want to see a samurai movie. They want to see a pirate movie. They want to see the Predator in all different types of eras going toe to toe with badass figures from history. Fucking do it. And you know what? It seems like they're actually fucking doing it. Thank Christ. Listening to your fan base. Wow. Insane. Crazy. and it'll make fucking billions. There you go. That's what I'm gonna be fucking seeing the hell out of this movie, whether it's on a streaming service, in a theater. I'm gonna be watching the fucking hell out of it, and it's animated, so it'll be even fucking cooler. Let's fucking go. Let them cook. Let's go.
I mean, Liz, I don't have as much personally invested in this franchise, but are you excited for this?
I mean, I wasn't a fan when I heard it was going to be animated, but now I see John's reaction. So you know what? Good for them. Enjoy it, gang. Have a wonderful time. I probably won't see it, but if it makes John happy, I'm all for it.
Awesome. Well, we got Antonio in the chat. We also have Relical Chaos. Wow, that is probably the best username I've seen in a long time. Dude, Relical Chaos saying Johnny Cage is supposed to be a pretty boy. Carl Urban is a handsome man. He's a handsome man.
Very pretty man.
See, there you go.
Yep,
there you go.
He's a good man.
I mean, yeah, dude. Judge Dredd, The Boys, come on. We've got One Bridge 11 in here. Are you a fan of the Critical Drinker? I think, we all have our different mileage with him. But greetings to you, One Bridge. We've got a couple of new names in the chat. I just want to make sure we're shouting everybody out. So yeah, Relical Chaos and One Bridge 11. That's also a cool name.
Lenny, I don't drink Monster. You're confusing me with Dan. I don't drink Monster. I've never drank an energy drink in my life. I haven't even drank 5 Hour Energy.
Also, by the way, Antonio is also in the chat. So hello, Antonio. How are you doing today? And then Lenny's saying Liz slobbering over male actors never gets old. True. That's part of the appeal of Liz.
It's one of the few things I'm an expert on.
Yes. Well, you know what? Village Roadshow used to be an expert at moving pictures, but it seems like they will no longer be around to do that because they have just filed for bankruptcy. Village Roadshow.
Dude, this bums me out.
John, you remember we talked about this a few months ago? They were having trouble paying invoices and stuff, and I forget which studio put out a notice that or it was one of the guilds were don't work with them.
Yeah.
They were do not work with them.
Yeah, it's such a.
And then Warner Brothers had a. Yeah, it's they had a financial dispute with WB, which they have financed a lot of WB movies over the years, including, of course, as you see there, the Lego Movie, Matrix, Joker.
Mad Max Fury Road is definitely a point of contention because there was a lot of production problems on that movie.
Yeah.
So that might mean something. And, well, obviously Matrix Resurrection because they mentioned that right here. But, that's saying something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
unfortunate.
I really like the projects that they've been a part of, and it's it's one of those really classic names that you're familiar seeing at the start of every major production. So it's a bummer, but you got to pay your bills, man. It's a shame.
Yeah. Lenny asking John, what's your poison? Caleb says you drink awesomeness. Relical
poison,
Chaos wanted.
It's water. I drink water. Sometimes iced tea. Or a soda, but most of the time it's
a lot healthier than what I do. So there you go.
Yes, I mean I just ate I ate fucking M&Ms, so I'm not exactly being the pinnacle of health here. I mean I'm an obese man. I'm not exactly healthy, but I'm trying to be better. But I mostly drink water. I like maybe a hot cocoa on a cold day, but
Yeah.
Again, you want to hear more of our hot takes on food, gang? Check out my podcast, Try Not to Curse. All of us, including Fiona, are on there just talking stupid nonsense about food.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
It's an amazing episode. I can attest to that. It went a lot of different places.
Sure did.
Relical Chaos, by the way, is still campaigning for Glenn Powell to be Johnny Cage. Because he thinks that maybe Carl Urban's a bit too rough.
He's got enough projects. Don't worry.
Yeah.
He's not going hungry.
Yeah,
we will be seeing plenty of him, and I'm also here for it. So.
We're also going to be seeing plenty of John Bernthal and Tom Holland in the Odyssey.
And again, Liz will be very excited.
Very happy. Very happy.
Are you excited to see the bald look of John Bernthal?
No, I'm not excited about the bald look, but we're also getting him with a full head of hair in The Accountant too. So I'm good.
What do you have to say about the bald look?
Listen, it works for some Johns. It doesn't work for all Johns. That's all.
I think it works for him. I like how he looks. He looks badass.
He looks a little homeless, but it's alright.
Christopher Nolan looks like he does in every movie that he directs.
I mean, Jonathan.
He looks frantic.
Christopher Nolan looks homeless. Not gonna lie. And I will say,
Well,
Tom Holland looks a little Hobbit-y here. Like,
yeah, it's like the new Lord of the Rings movie. Because I mean, they are on a boat. Like it's
okay. No, this looks better than anything new Lord of the Rings. Anything. Let's just get that perfectly clear. Fuck you, Amazon. But
yeah. I mean, look, they're on a ship that looks, I guess, accurate to the era. He's on a boat. He's on a boat. It looks fun. They're filming it. I mean, they're filming it in Italy, in and around the Mediterranean. All right, now, speaking of Avengers, we talked about it earlier, but hey, another thing that Anthony Russo was recently asked was, are you gonna bring those Disney Plus characters into the movies? Are they gonna make it into the new Avengers movies? And he was like, we'll take a comprehensive view. You can read into that what you like. So do you think that characters like Kamala Khan and, Kate Bishop are going to be in Doomsday? Or, Liz, what are your thoughts on this?
No, but again, anything's possible. They're gonna try and pull in as many people as they can, because I think there are going to be so many that are going to just say no, because it either won't make sense or they're just kind of like, I'm done with that part of my life. So we'll see. Again, they have to find a way to merge all of the storylines. At some point, everybody's got to come together and show face here and there. So maybe not in the very first film, but by the second one, they might make an appearance, but we'll see. I mean, if anybody needs work, it's and not to be not to sound like an asshole about it, but if anyone needs work, it's those two ladies. So quite frankly, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm excited to see if like Miss Marvel is in there, for example, because I think she's one of the best characters they've introduced over on Disney Plus, and I wouldn't mind seeing her in the movie. Moving on to the idea of animated characters being in the movie, sticking with the Avengers theme here. They are exploring the idea of adding like some of the What If characters in Doomsday and maybe even Secret Wars. Would you be surprised to see that, like an animated Captain Carter?
We had some of them in Doctor Strange 2, which is also known as the Wandaverse 2. So it wouldn't surprise me at all. And I mean, I feel like they don't create these characters to then just kind of have them fall by the wayside. Like, they're gonna milk them for all their worth. So again, we're fucking around with the multiverse. We're fucking around with different universes, different timelines, different variants. So anything goes. It's gonna be a hot mess, but I am here for it.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna step away for a couple of minutes, but John, you can take over quick hits. I'll be right back.
Yes. Yeah. Just
carry on as you will.
just give the sick guy who can barely talk the reins for the next few minutes. So apparently Jenna Ortega probably won't return to the MCU after her Iron Man 3 experience. I count that and then I move on. Honestly, I can kind of see that because she explained in the article that she had a really minimal role. She played the vice president's daughter, and I think I vaguely remember seeing like her face like for 2 seconds. And she's like, you know what? I'm just gonna stick with that and then move the hell on. I'm not gonna come back for anything. So good for her. She's like, I have my career now, and it wasn't really thanks to this movie. So I'm just gonna do what I need to do. And honestly, that's great. What are your thoughts? Do you agree, or do you think she should give the MCU another chance?
No, I don't blame her. I think, anybody who gets cast in a Marvel production is, especially that early in their career, is going to think, oh my God, this is going to be great for me. This is a really important milestone, and this is going to lead to other big projects. So for them to give her a minimal role and then reduce that even further, I could understand how she feels kind of like burnt by it and probably feels like they potentially held her back from other projects. So she's doing fine on her own. She really doesn't need them for anything. So good. Go ahead, make that money, girl.
Yeah. Do whatever you need to do. So good for her. Oh boy. All right. Okay. Speaking of MCU, not going back to the MCU. Antony Starr, when asked if he would join the MCU, nah, I'm a little too old for that. MCU expert, what are your thoughts on this? And then I'm going to reveal my thoughts.
Well,
I have a lot
it begs the question, who asked him? If they did ask him, did they give him a specific role or idea of playing someone, or is this just somebody randomly asking him a question because he's already playing a superhero in one role? So that were they like, hey, would you want to join Marvel? I'm sure they might have asked him if he wanted to join the DCU as well. But he seems to think that they would want him to be like the next Iron Man or something with this quote, and it's like, you might be cast as like the next Uncle Ben. Like there really is no like age.
I don't
range.
understand this at all.
So the
like,
whole
it's
thing
like,
is it's kind of a
it's like bruh,
how is this news? How is get a life, gang? Get a life.
Here's the thing, because it's like what I'm getting from this, because Antony Starr is known to be like kind of a dick. I mean, I already went on a rant like how he misunderstands the character of Batman. How I take this, he's like, oh, I'm like too old for like the kids Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm only part of the boys because it's for adults. It's for like adults with maybe 3 functioning brain cells. Because that's how much.
He hasn't been watching, because they're using the word shit and bullshit quite a lot.
I mean, the writer's room is collectively 3 brain cells. I can tell you that. But it's like, bro, like Sir Anthony Hopkins, one of the greatest actors who has ever lived, in his like 70s or 80s, joined the MCU in 2011 as Odin, and he has more talent in his pubic hair than you will ever have throughout the rest of your fucking miserable, cynical piece of shit life.
Dan,
so how about you shut the fuck up, because I'm sick of the discourse of superheroes only being for kids horse shit. So frankly, go take your fucking cock, rip it off, and stick it up your ass. Because Antony Starr, I'm honestly sick of seeing your gross ass face. So please get the fuck out of mine. Thank you and goodbye. And since you're flipping us off, I will gladly flip you off, because you're a fucking piece of shit. Eat a fucking dick. Bye-bye. I can't wait for your fucking career to fucking go fucking crater after The Boys is done. I would just love, that would just be so sweet to fucking see your ass just like fucking have no career after this piece of shit show is fucking done. Fucking loser. Anyway, speaking of not losers, we got the CEO of Sex, guys. Jacob Batalon, while he, I assume, was like doing interviews for Novocaine, he loves it. He loves being called the CEO of Sex. He's like, first of all, it's an honor. I feel like people come to me for sex advice a lot. So it's just like, it kind of seems like it was like an ironic thing, but also I'm not going to turn it down. Yeah, I mean, the man recently...
Where did this come from, though? I don't understand. Where did this come from?
So I think so the picture of the CEO of Sex, Dan, full screen it. But like this picture of him, it was from one of the premieres of Spider-Man, and like somebody took a picture of it and like put like a caption about like something alpha related, like, because it's like ironic because he's like a bigger guy and he's balding, and he's like he's not a typical like pretty boy who would like have sex a lot, blah blah blah. But then it was ironic, but then it became like genuine, how like they would just be like getting pictures of him in suits, and they just started calling him the CEO of Sex, and it just like kind of became a meme. And now it's become like genuine, like, oh yeah, Jacob Batalon, this dude's the fucking CEO. At first it was Ned Leeds, like it was Ned Leeds, like his character, but then it kind of moved into Jacob Batalon. So now it's just like this ironic thing, and then kind of genuine at the same time, and it's just become funny, I think.
Okay.
It's just one of those things that just somehow took off. And now, like, people, like, I mean, he's gonna get married soon, so clearly he can get it.
Aww.
So, you know, like, good for him. I'm happy for him. I know he lost a shit ton of weight. He looked really good in Novocaine from what I saw.
He did look good in Novocaine, for sure.
So, you know, I'm happy for him. I like how, because that's what you really need to do, because either you embrace the memes or you're just seen as an asshole. So I'm glad he seems like a good, genuine guy who's, like, embraced this weird, silly meme that somehow gained traction. So, you know what? Good for him. I appreciate that.
Okay. I still don't get it, but okay.
Although Ron is he's thinking that Michael Pena from his character from Ant-Man, Louise, should be the CEO of Sex. That's funny. Anyway. But anyway, apparently the Netflix is circling Daniel Craig for Chronicles of Narnia. Thoughts?
Okay. He's got nothing going on right now. No.
I could see Aslan. Cool, great.
Ooh,
Moving on.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anybody could be as good as Liam Neeson, but he could be good.
I mean, for real.
Yeah. Moving on, Dan. We have nothing else to say. So apparently, I remember him talking about this, but maybe he didn't name names. But John Boyega revealed that apparently Tom Cruise helped him get cast in Star Wars. He was editing Mission Impossible at the time with J.J. Abrams. Tom told J.J., "You got to watch this kid in Attack the Block." J.J. watched it, and one thing led to another. And 4 or 5 years later, I was in the movie. So, way to go, Tom Cruise. I mean, I like John Boyega. I still stand by he should have been the main character. He should have become a Jedi. Would have been awesome. But I hope he has a future, because I mean I've seen stuff outside of Star Wars, and he's a good actor, and he's been in some really good indie projects. So I hope he gets better stuff in the future. But thanks, Tom Cruise. We got a good actor out of this. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, sure. I feel like that's quite a stretch to make, but at the same time, because I feel like JJ would have seen him in something eventually, but hey, it's all good. However he gets his gigs, good for him.
Yeah. Anyway.
He's also very attractive, Caleb. I met him in real life, you guys. Holy cow, is he more attractive in person than you could even imagine. What a delightful young man.
Oh, and I agree, Caleb. He's very talented.
And he's also
Speaking of British black actors, although unfortunately Lenny left before we could bring him up, so whoopsie daisies.
Well, that's actually why she left. She's upset. So
yeah, she's upset because Christopher Nolan doesn't cast black British actors in his movies. So sure, be mad. Sorry, but yeah. Speaking of black British actors, John Boyega, we love him.
Yeah.
So apparently, Steven Soderbergh is considering making another Contagion film, but this time with microplastics. Thoughts?
I mean, it makes sense. Microplastics are in our brain. Gentlemen, they are in your peni. That's actually where the most concentrated amount of microplastics are in your body, is in your peni. So yeah, they're everywhere. They're on Antarctica. There's nothing we can do about it. They're in our systems and they're never going away. So yeah, let's make a movie about it. Again, I still recommend Dark Waters if you're trying to understand where we are health-wise in the universe as far as contaminants are concerned. Dark Waters with Mark Ruffalo, check it out. It's based on an absolutely true and horrific story from Dow Chemical. So we're all fucked, gang.
Yep.
Wow. What a dark time to join back in. All right, let's keep the ball rolling. Tony Gilroy.
Caleb Underwood, not the peni.
True. In the peni.
That's okay. As long as I can still get hard, I'm cool with that. That's fine. As long as it doesn't make
also I love Steven Soderbergh, so yay.
Yeah, Steven Soderbergh's great. Wait, yeah. Speaking of, what are your thoughts on Black Bag, Liz?
Black Bag was excellent. There's not a whole lot of action, but it's pretty much Mr. and Mrs. Smith 35 years from the film. So it's where you would expect those two characters to end up, and it is sexy. So check it out. And all right, well, I just realized as well. So we know Steven Soderbergh hires black British actors. Also, great.
I just saw your sign and remembered that today is St. Patrick's Day. So happy St. Patty's Day, everybody.
St. Patrick's Day, guys.
I was actually walking around in Boston this time last year. So this year, obviously doing the show.
Still alive. Good job, man.
Yeah, I'm still here. Tony Gilroy, he's very wary of AI potentially reading the scripts for Andor. So initially there was a plan to release the first season of Andor scripts as a book, but he scrapped all the plans saying, why help the effing robots? Are you surprised that Tony Gilroy has that attitude? He's also said that, by the way, he's not going to be involved in Star Wars after Andor. So he's looking to move on. He's already spent basically the better part of a decade on the 2 seasons of Andor, as well as what he did on Rogue One. But are you surprised that, you know, he's really just like that weary of AI that he doesn't even want to put a book of the scripts out, even though he himself said they would be great?
It's perfectly reasonable. It's a perfectly reasonable concern.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Fair enough. Well, you know what? Tony Gilroy is going to continue to be busy with Andor for at least a little while longer, because Andor season 2 comes out soon. And recently he was talking about it, saying we are trying very rigorously to be more serious about this shit than anybody ever has been. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, I see it and I love it. I love
Tony Gilroy, everybody, the only person that actually cares about Star Wars.
Well, everybody else cares, but they care about it in the sense of selling toys. So
yep.
I just love it because this is not the only thing he has said about it that makes you like excited for Star Wars under Tony Gilroy. Because he's also said, like, if I don't make you cry, I will be very unhappy about season 2. Or like, it's a very significant, you know, talking about the Gorman massacre. Like, he's saying we're gonna explore that in depth. It's a very significant part of our show. It's a canonically mentioned event, and you know, which has some confusion about it, and they're gonna strain it out. It's great. And the way he talks about Cassian, he's like, he's the Star Wars Jesus running through there, this messianic character running through the middle.
You heard it here first. Deadpool is Marvel
Star Wars
Jesus, Cassian is Star Wars Jesus.
Star Wars Jesus.
That's all right.
I also appreciate what he's saying, you know, about just all these other characters, like the mother of Cassian Andor. Like, she's always with him. Ferrex is always with Bix, Vilman, Cassian, and Brasso. It's the first season, honestly, I was like, I didn't realize Star Wars could be like this. Like, it felt like an HBO show. You were watching something that didn't feel like it belonged on Disney Plus, quite frankly. So I'm just excited to see where they go with it next. It's great. And yeah, Tony Gilroy is the man. Everything he says about this show just goes to tell you he's got the right idea, and I can't wait to see the new season. The trailer looks fantastic, and it's gonna be our last go around with Cassian Andor. I mean, and Diego Luna. I mean, fantastic part of a franchise where, quite frankly, when Rogue One came out, nobody saw that Diego Luna would have such a big part to play in this universe. And now he's one of the faces of Star Wars today, considering how, you know, we don't even have another. Well, I don't know when the next movie's gonna come out. So there you go. Blade Runner 2099, guys, it's in development, and apparently, according to a Variety article where Tom Burke was talking about it, he said that it will feel much more like the original film than the Denis Villeneuve sequel. Are you surprised? Are you excited? Are you worried or concerned about that?
I'm a little concerned. Oh, sorry, Liz.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
I'm a little concerned because what I liked about Villeneuve's film is that it clearly felt like a sequel to the original, but it did its own thing. The fact that he's like, oh, let's make it more like the original means like, oh, it's going to be more nostalgia baity. You're not going to have your own vision, your own story. And I'm not sure if I like that. But I mean, maybe it's just aesthetic. Maybe it's just like an aesthetic tone, how it's going to be more like a grim, like neo-noir rather than an action film like the second one was, like a conspiracy theory espionage action movie. So maybe they just mean like that, but I would still say do your own thing with it, you know, instead of just going back to the original.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it, but truth be told, I saw the first 2 films and I think I'm too dumb to understand what the fuck they're still about at this point. I feel like I need to watch them all over again before I watch this one. My only concern with it being similar in tone and design to the first one is like, it feels like it won't be cohesive from 2049. If you know what I'm saying, like, so it's I want, you know me, I like consistency, like I need it to make sense. 2049. So it needs to make sense for me, and it has to connect. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think at the end of the day, if you are skipping another 50 years, then I guess it gives you a little bit of license to change things up a bit. And I bet you like the large scale, you know, cityscapes and everything will feel like it's still part of the same franchise. But as far as the story goes, yeah, I understand where he's coming from. Maybe he wants to make it look more like something that we would have gotten out of the 80s, like the Harrison Ford version rather than Ryan Gosling version, which Denis Villeneuve made a fantastic movie. It's honestly is one of the best modern
So good.
sci-fi movies ever. One of the most underrated. Like, it was a flop because they did a terrible job of marketing it, but
Well,
it was a
it's weird
great
because
film.
I feel like with that, like for me, it was almost like Wicked. Like I felt like they marketed it to death to the point where, but they kept saying the same shit. Like they didn't show us anything new. They didn't like change their talking points. So it got to a point where everybody was fucking sick to death of it. So I think that's where they fell off.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, 2099, it's in the works. Tom Burke's saying it's going to be closer to the original than it is to the Evil new sequel. We'll see when the movie comes out, I suppose. Now, the next story, the last story in today's Quick Hits, is that Keira Knightley and Matthew McFadden's Pride and Prejudice turns 20 years old, and they have put out a 20th anniversary trailer because the movie is coming back to theaters on April 20th. Will you guys go see it?
No, it's on Easter Sunday. It bums me out that I can't see it. I really want to
I'm gonna
see it.
tell my sister about it because she's a huge Jane Austen fan. So I hope that she would go see it, like, cause she's coming home for the holidays, obviously. So I hope I'd be like, hey, sis, go watch this because I know how much you love it. But she's like, oh, I can't because I don't know, I don't want to be alone, or I don't want to, go. No, fucking go see it. I want you to go see it. I will go with you if you, want to see it, because I know how much.
If I can convince
she
every
loves the
member
movie.
of my family to go, then I get to go. But that's not going to happen. So I'm excited for John and his sister to get to have
So
that time
hopefully
together.
I'll
Not me.
you know what, I'm gonna text her right now.
And while you do that, while John does that, we're gonna hit a pause in that Quick Hits music because that's it. That's the news. That's the Quick Hits. Let us know down below what you guys thought about that in the comments. Which was your favorite news story of the day? Was it the fact that, hey, Avengers Doomsday might be the beginning of a new era of the MCU as opposed to being the conclusion of the multiverse saga? Are you excited to see who Sadie Sink is playing in the new Spider-Man movie? Pride and Prejudice celebrating its 20th anniversary, coming out again in movie theaters on April 20th. And beyond that, of course, we talked about Daniel Craig circling the Narnia movie over at Netflix. That would be interesting. I mean, you pass on Sergeant Rock for that. Interesting stuff. Lilo and Stitch, the trailer breaking records, all
Daniel
kinds
Craig.
of crazy stuff.
Hey, Daniel Craig, he's pretty, not smart. Remember that.
Of course, that was the news. John Wick 5. We had so much news, but we are not done yet, guys, because now it is time to dive into the movie of the week. The movie of the week this week was Novocaine. Novocaine, it's looked amazing. The trailer looks fantastic, and I've read the reviews, and I feel like the way they treat the character in terms of he can't feel pain, you could turn that into a very popcorn fun action comedy. But they got really creative with it, the way they treat the character, the ups and downs, the pros and cons of having what would feel like a superpower. It has some downsides that you can't feel pain because you might hurt yourself and not realize that you hurt yourself. You could bleed out without feeling the pain. So I was really interested in hearing about how good or maybe not good this movie was. Now, of course, I myself haven't had the chance to see it, but Liz and John, I believe you guys did. So
Sure did.
Given how excited I've been for this movie, I want to know what you guys thought about it. So I'll let you guys take over for a second here and talk about the movie, and I'll just listen from behind the scenes.
Well, you don't want any spoilers, Dan.
I'm all good. You guys can talk spoilers.
Yeah, well, I do appreciate that in that aspect of it, they did fully address his condition and, like you said, the concerns of somebody who would have that condition. So they show in his house and also in his own office, he's got all of his corners are covered in tennis balls. He's got even the tips of pencils are covered by pieces of clay so that he doesn't accidentally walk by something and get stuck or clip something, or he's very prone to being bruised, like you said, being cut. At one point he discusses that he can't actually eat solid food because there's the possibility that he could he could bite his tongue right off and not realize it and just bleed out. And they kind of do a play on that a couple of times throughout the film. For me, the pacing wasn't the greatest at certain points. It would go from tons of action and chaos to kind of just blah, random filler scenes. But all in all, it was funny. It was disturbing how how much this poor guy got beat to shit. And again, in the sense that you can't feel anything is great, but also, you know, he was in a lot of serious danger throughout the entire thing. But I enjoyed it all. That's a really great promo thing right there. That's wild. But no, it was just as fun as it looks in the trailer, and I'm glad that I caught it. John, go ahead, take it away.
Mr. No Pain. Apparently that's the name of it in another country. But I really enjoyed this movie. I thought, and I mean this as a compliment, this is like the best action movie of like 1996. Like, because it's just like, it's so simple, it's so effective. It kind of falls into those same tropes. It feels like it's a movie that's been made already, and it's like a remake or something, or like it just feels like it's like, oh, how have we not done this concept before? Because this feels very like, oh, a guy who can't feel pain, and they don't really like, they like kind of address it for like a scene, and then they kind of just move on. That feels like a very 90s thing to do, because I know I've seen a couple people, they're like, oh, they address it, but they don't fully address it. So like, I remember that one review I saw where it was like this dude who's like, I didn't like this movie because I think it would be offensive to people with this disease. And I'm like, bruh, really?
Which is also ironic, because at the end of the film, they actually acknowledge people with rare diseases, and they say like, hey, like, you should do your research and like look into this, because this is something that people live with every day. So yeah, that's kind of, you know, clearly someone being a little ignorant there.
Yeah, so it's just like, and it's just the idea of like being offended for somebody else, and it's just like, I'm just getting kind of sick of that. But like it still takes like that kind of 90s approach where they like address it, but then it's just not addressed like throughout the rest of the movie. But I like that, how it's just like, I have this thing, here it is, boom, there we go, that's all we need. And that's what I kind of agree with the pacing, but it's like, it kind of like, it goes, but then it's like, okay, character development, navel gazing, according to the Daredevil showrunner, and then kind of ramps up again. But it kind of works. It still flowed to me. Like, I didn't feel like, for me, when pacing is bad, this is just for me, I'm not saying to deny your qualms with the movie.
No, it's all
for
good.
Me personally.
I should say it wasn't the worst. Like,
yeah, exactly.
In that regard.
For me, when I think pacing is bad, is just like when it grinds to a halt and I'm bored. Like, if I'm like bored, like, even if I'm like kind of with Mickey 17, where like the first half I was still intrigued, I was still like, I could feel my eyes droop a little bit, and I was getting kind of bored, but I'm like, I'm still kind of intrigued, but it's also like that they're not showing it in an intriguing way. Here, when they have like their navel gazing conversations, it still felt like exciting to me, because I was like ramped up, I was like ready to like, okay, cool, they're talking, they're like, you know, he's torturing the guy, he's doing this, he's doing that, but I still feel like I'm so excited, because like, I want to see this guy like get the girl, like, and it's just such a simple plot. It's just like, this dude, he's like, you know what, fuck it, I never do anything in my fucking life, I play it too safe, I love this girl, I'm gonna fight for her. And again, that's a very simple like 90s way of doing it. Because now it's like, oh, they got to do like over like complicate things with like a romance because of this thing and that thing. Here they don't. I feel like they just fucking ramp it, and they just hit go and they go with it, and I liked that. I mean, it kind of like Deadpool, but like not totally. Like, it has like a romance and an action aspect, but it's like, that's kind of it. It's not really.
It's got a good twist in it too, which you don't
it's
see
got an effective
twist.
Yeah. Apparently, even before my friend saw the movie, he was like, "I can guess the twist immediately." I'm like, I didn't guess the twist.
Boo! I didn't guess the twist. Boo!
I didn't get the twist until like when they revealed it. Also, Ray Nicholson is in the movie. I was like watching this fucking movie. I'm like, I know this guy from somewhere. Who is he? And
he looks so different with that haircut. It's wild.
Because I was like looking at, because I had not seen Smile 2, but I've seen that clip of him in that movie. And God, again, if I had a nickel for every Nepo baby in this movie that looked so fucking much like their dad, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's still weird that it happened twice. So, you know, so I was like looking at it, and then my dad told me the day, I'm like, that's why he looks so familiar. And so, but like, even then, I thought he was a great villain. He's like, it just, again, a simple villain you love to hate. He's just a prick, and he's just an asshole. He's not like, and it's just like, he's a guy who's evil for the sake of being evil. You think that like Nathan or Shelley is like gonna like talk some sense into this guy? No. He's like, fuck that shit. I just want to I want money and I want to kill people. That's, again, this is the type of villain I want to fucking see in movies. Just a guy who's an asshole and loves being an asshole. Let's go. I'm cool with that. I don't want him to be Joker. Like, he needs to make his own legacy. Let's not do that. But, I saw somebody punching this. Somebody doing a video of that. That was great.
That's the funniest thing I've ever seen. That's so brilliant.
Yeah, it's
so
great
brilliant.
Marketing. They should have that in like regular arcade. But yeah, I think this was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. Not the greatest movie of the year or anything like that, but I still thought it was really fun.
It was a good time. It was a good time.
And I really liked it. It's so simple. Again, kind of like what Day the Earth Blew Up. It's just so simple but so effective, and that just proves that like a clean cut movie under 2 hours with a simple plot can still work. Because I know a lot of things, because like nothing's original anymore. Blah 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 blah. But sometimes, just like a guy, like, because I don't think this has ever been done before. Of like a guy who can't feel pain becomes an action hero, but he like sucks at it. So like that's what makes it like endearing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what like Die Hard was back in the day. It was like, at the time, the 80s action heroes would go full in with a machine gun, rip their shirt off, and just like fucking mow down bad guys. Die Hard was new because it was like a guy was hiding from the bad guys and like trying to effectively take down the terror. Well, what we think are terrorists, but are just burglars. But they
were German.
So like that was like simple yet effective, and that's what made it work so well. And that's what this was. It's like kind of, I don't think it'll be like a classic like Die Hard is. It's not nearly as good as that movie, but it like kind of reminds me of that, where it's like a simple and effective movie that kind of throws the action movie trope for a loop. A little bit. Not totally, but a little bit. And I really liked that. And I think Jack Quaid, I understand, like, we hate Nepo babies, all that shit, but like the man's talented. There's a reason that he's like been in this show that's beloved by a lot of people. He was great in Companion, showed he was a great prick in that. And then here showing he could be like, again, he's like kind of following the Huey thing of like dorky action hero who pukes at the sight of blood kind of thing. But even then, I hope he doesn't get typecast in that. But even then, like, I still think this was a good role for him. Did a really good job, and I really liked him. And Amber Midthunder was great as well. But yeah, supporting cast, what little of them there are. Jacob Batalon, Mr. CEO of Sex himself. He was actually funny here. Thank God. Okay, so now we can confirm the Spider-Man writers just sucked at writing for Ned Leeds. This movie confirms Jacob Batalon can be funny, and he was actually funny here. So, way to go, Mr. CEO of Sex. You did it. Way to go. We love you.
I mean, look, we're talking about
that for the record.
You're talking about like the how much people are liking it. 87% score on the popcorn meter, and it's certified fresh. 82% from the critics. So, given that it's been received as well as it has, despite the fact it didn't make even 10 million at the opening weekend, it made 8.7, but quite frankly, the box office is dead right now. So it's a slow weekend. I understand that, but given the reception,
right?
Do you guys think this movie will do well in the weeks to come? Like, will it fall off a cliff?
I think word of mouth will help. I mean, the fact that I spend the majority of my time in an empty movie theater, and there was a good amount of people in my theater for this film on a weekday. Was it a weekday? When the hell did I see it? Never mind, it was Sunday. But still, I thought it was an early showing though. It was a 1:30 showing, so there were still a decent amount of people in there for it. So I think it'll ramp up as word of mouth spreads for sure.
Yep, and then I mean Ron's saying he thinks that it will do reasonably well. So given that you guys think it will do fairly well in the coming weeks, would you go see it again? Is this the kind of movie that has that repeat watchability?
Yeah.
Like, would you want to go see it
again
2 times?
it was
I would
it was
see it again,
enjoyable. Yeah, I would see it again.
And so, 2 questions. What would you rate this movie out of 10? And then would you recommend it to somebody else? I'll start with you, Liz.
I'll give it an 8. And yeah, I would definitely recommend it. I have a couple of friends that come to mind that I know would really enjoy it for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then, John, what do you think?
I'd give it like an 8.5. I thought it was a lot of fun. I would definitely recommend it. Oh, by the way, I would give The Day the Earth Blew Up an 8. I would definitely recommend that as well. But yeah, both movies great. Novocaine, ton of fun. Again, it's just one of those movies that it's just like there's not a lot to I mean, there's a twist, but it like happens like in like the beginning of the second act, so I don't know how much of a twist it is, but we won't say it here. But like there's not much to spoil because it's just like so simple, and it's just like guy is going to get the girl, boom, there you go. And that's kind of, you know, cool, and I like that. So
I don't mind it. Look, honestly, it's kind of like, sounds to me like it's like The Gorge, which is on Apple TV Plus. That movie felt like it was a movie that you probably could have seen in the early 2000s in the movie theater, but today it comes out on streaming, and you're like, you know what? I had fun with it. I wanted to spend some time watching a movie that took me out of my daily grind, and it's that. It doesn't need to be, you know, a world-saving, Oscar-winning thing that you need to watch. And I feel like for what you guys are saying, the movie works for what it is, and that's all we can ask for. So hopefully, you know, that means that this movie will continue to do well, because it started off at the top of the box office. It is a slow box office weekend, but it did come in #1. So hopefully we'll continue to stay at #1 in the coming weeks, at least until Thunderbolts comes out. But until then, guys,
Snow White's coming out next week, so
we'll see. But let us know, guys, what you think about Novocaine. Are you gonna go watch it? Would you recommend it to somebody else? Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Ron, for that comment. But guys, hit that like button if you enjoy the movie review. We review movies each and every week, so be sure to come back here. We'll talk about Snow White next week, as well as the Alto Night. So John won't, but like, you know, the rest of us will.
Sadly, I will.
Let us know what you thought about Novocaine. And with that said, we're gonna move on to the main event of the show. As always, it is time for DCU Daily. So let's switch up the graphics. There we go. All right, so welcome on in to another episode of DCU Daily. As always, we've got lots to talk about. We've got a few small bits, and then we've got a big main story, of course. Colin Farrell circling the Sergeant Rock movie. Of course, Daniel Craig passed on it, but is Colin Farrell, the Penguin, gonna join that film? How does that, you know, affect his role as the Penguin? Does it even matter? He's got other projects that are going on as well. Will they affect the scheduling of the film basically the production schedule for Sergeant Rock? Because as far as we're aware, they're looking to get into production this year, and Colin Farrell has a bunch of other stuff already lined up. So we'll talk about that and so much more. But before we do, as always, I'll bring in my co-stars. You've got Liz and John. Which of the stories that we have here on DCU Daily, obviously the Colin Farrell one is the big one, but which of the other stories are you more excited about?
Yeah, Colin Farrell for me, because I love the guy. So
it is St. Patty's Day after all. So
it is St. Patty's Day. Also, breaking news, gang! I've started Invincible. Yay!
Yay! They're working on the next season. John, which of the stories are you most excited to talk about?
I'm pumped to talk more about that State Farm commercial, because that's my favorite Batman movie, guys. Is that State Farm commercial? New favorite Batman movie. Let's go! So I'm stoked for that.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna actually start off with that State Farm commercial, because we have got some behind the scenes photos from Batman versus Bateman. They did put out like a little bit of this at the Super Bowl, but then obviously we got the full commercial recently. Josh Hart played the Joker. We've got an image of him right there. Poison Ivy was being played by Abby May. The Riddler was being played by Josh Meyer, and Andrew Tippy played Two-Face. And you see all of them here. I mean, honestly, when you look at it here, it looks like they're all going cosplaying at a Comic-Con. But in the commercial itself, it looked great. People are going full-blown, you know, change.org campaign to get Josh Earp to play our new Joker in the DCU. There you go. You got Jason Bateman there with a fanny pack and everything. What are your thoughts about this? It's a commercial. It's a freaking TV commercial for an insurance company. I did not think it was going to have the impact that it has. Are you surprised by this? And then the character designs are pretty faithful to the comics. I mean, John, what are your thoughts on this overall?
Greatest Batman movie of all time. Let's go. Just like
Liz.
cut Jake out, cut Jason Bateman out, and you essentially have a Batman movie. Like, it's like, I'm not saying like the Bateman stuff is bad. Like, I know Jason Bateman was so funny in this commercial. I'm just saying that from like a Batman like retrospective, like take all the non-Batman stuff out of it, and it's a genuinely great looking universe.
It's still a 30-second thing. I'm like, you can't. You're only getting vignettes of everything, but I hear.
No,
you.
it's about like 2 minutes. It was like about a 2-minute commercial, and
was it?
Then, okay. And like we had Jordan the Stallion, the president of the Fast Food Secrets Club, as Commissioner Gordon. Great, love to see. And SZA as Catwoman, also interesting choice, but I'll take it. But you know, this is like the I was saying this before. This is the type of stuff I want to see in a Batman movie. Like this, like if this stuff was put in a Batman movie, it would be like the greatest thing ever. It would be amazing.
But can you? It's one thing to do it for like a 2-minute commercial. It's another thing to sustain these looks for an entire 2-hour movie that you want to take seriously. I think that's the reason why.
Like Joker,
can they?
Maybe not Poison Ivy. She looks a little bit cheap, but Riddler, Two-Face, and Joker straight up look like they could be in a movie. Like Joker, that looks like something fucking Heath Ledger wore in that movie. Like straight up. Like it's like not even funny. Like that looks
it's close in some respects. It is, the color palette is pretty much the same. I mean, Liz, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, you love the commercial, and we talked about it obviously last week, but seeing the behind the scenes photos, does it? I don't know what else to say here, because it's a commercial. I don't know if they're gonna have more of these, but
I hope so.
It's creative.
I've actually still not seen the commercial. Y'all were supposed to send me links. You didn't send me links. But the fact that we're still talking about it, I think is amazing. And I mean, I know companies drop stupid amounts of money for commercials for 30-second spots. So it doesn't surprise me at all that the production value, the costume quality, the makeup and everything is top notch. And I just love the fact I've pulled up the link since then, so I am going to watch it, but I love that we're still talking about it. So hopefully that this opens up some work for all of the different people involved. And, you know, it's always nice to see Jason Bateman doing something kind of goofy and out of his wheelhouse. Like, I promise you he's not a fan of comics or comic movies. So for him to be a part of it at all is pretty great.
I mean, yeah, like somebody said that didn't like the bat suit. I will say the bat suit wasn't the greatest, but I mean, because that's like a little bit hard to do.
But it's
like,
also how much they get away with.
Because I mean, these guys are just wearing normal clothes that are like a little bit ridiculous, like the Two-Face thing, and maybe, but like. For the most part, Poison Ivy, okay, the latex thing, like, okay, that's a bit weird. But like Joker, you could find that same fit in like a Goodwill. And same with the Riddler. Like you could find like a green suit. However, like a bat suit is like very specific. So that's gonna be harder to do.
We're gonna get into that a little bit, but we do have to talk about that. But
I will say,
the
bat suit here looks better than the fucking bat suit on Gotham. I will die on that.
And dude, everything looks better than the bat suit on Gotham. That's pretty clear. I will say it's a step too far to say it's better than the Snyderverse, though, because the Snyderverse, let's be honest, because there's actually a connection there, which we will get into in a second. Because the bat suit in this commercial was worn by obviously stuntman Nicholas Hare, who portrayed the Dark Knight in the commercial, but also the Batsuit was made by Ironhead Studio, the same company that crafted Ben Affleck's suit in Batman v Superman. So if you're saying it looks bad, I'm like, it
looks good to me. Like straight up, it looks
good to me.
It looks bad,
and when I saw the commercial, I was like, this has a lot of inspiration from Ben Affleck's Batsuit. Like the coloring and some of the cowl, it looked similar to the Ben Affleck suit. So I'm actually not surprised.
I like the cowl. This is like one of my favorite cowls because
I love this
ears
cowl.
Aren't too long. Like it looks good. Like I think it genuinely looks good.
Ron's not a fan.
Yeah, no, that's what I was mentioning. Like,
okay,
which is fine. Like we're not shitting on that. It's just like I think it looks good, and you know, as I said, it's better than the Gotham one, which is not saying much. Like me wearing a Batman shirt and blue shorts and like a cowl made out of cardboard looks better than the Gotham bat suit. So
if they were gonna do what they did, they should have never given him the bat suit. I just don't understand the need for give him a little bit of vignette. If you do it, you do it from afar. You don't get to see as much. Bad idea all around. And they took the worst suit from the Dark Knight trilogy and used it. I'm like, come on. And the cowl didn't fit him. It looked so stupid. Since when do we have a teenage Batman running around? That's we know him as Robin.
He wasn't a teenager at that point, but the thing is, it was so weird. They recast Catwoman as an older actress, but they didn't do the same thing for Batman.
It didn't make any sense.
David Mazouz, who still looked very young in that, he's supposed to be like in his 20s, like when he became Batman. Like it was supposed to be much later.
He did not look like he was in his 20s.
No, he didn't. He has Tom Holland babyface syndrome, where he looks like still looks like he's a high schooler. So it didn't work. They should have gotten an older actor to make him look like his age rather than fucking 17 when he's supposed to be like in his 20s. Like it just didn't work. But that's neither here nor there.
No, I agree with you. Antony is back in the chat. It's letting you guys know to hit the like button. Moving on to some news from the Superman movie, of course, coming out soon. We got our first look at behind the scenes of the cast training up to play all these characters. These pictures, I bet you, are probably months old, if at this point, given that the movie's already done filming. But you see all the cast members, you see all the ladies, you see the guys. It looked like they all got in the gym, and they all had to put in the work. Eddie Kategi looks jacked, in the best shape of his life. Of course, Nicholas Hoult. Liz, your thoughts on these photos? Impressed? Excited?
I think it's adorable that Nicholas Hoult is wearing a Creature Commandos tee. That was like the first thing I clocked because I have a shirt that's very similar to that.
I actually want that. Is that on the shop? Like, I wonder if that's on the DC shop.
I'm sure if it's not on the official shop, you can definitely find it. If he found it, you can find it. And that is a trend. I have one that's got all female heroes, well-known heroes from the 90s. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, again, I agree. It's kind of after the fact. The movie's been shot. It's coming out in July. Okay. So cool. They're in the gym. Good job. I mean, I would hope they are. They're getting paid the big dollars to look good. So
dollar bills, y'all. Let's go.
Yep, totally. No, but I'm excited because, dude, honestly, the most impressive photo here for me was look at that arm on Eddie Kategi. I've seen him in For All Mankind for the last couple of seasons. That man was not in that kind of shape for that TV show. That's superhero shape right there.
Are they gonna like in the next season to explain his bulk? Are they gonna be like, I cut out beer, like they did in fucking Parks and Rec?
I cut out beer. All of a sudden, he's got a six-pack. Andy Dwyer is Jack. I'm like, April made out like bananas in that show because she did not know that's where because going from season 1 to where he was by the end of that show, I'm like, Andy Dwyer had an arc. And well, anyway, moving on. Patrick Wilson was recently asked about like, hey, what are your thoughts on, Zack Snyder's vision for the DC films, the Snyderverse as colloquially known, of course, the DCEU as known by most people. And he was a part of that as in the Aquaman franchise. And of course, famously, the very last shot of the DCEU is Patrick Wilson
eating a cockroach. What a way to go.
But he said that, look, Zack Snyder's dark vision for DC films is something that, that's needed to balance out the lighter superhero films like the Avengers. Although I wouldn't say the Avengers as a whole have been lighter movies. I mean, Endgame was pretty dark. Infinity War ends on a pretty downer of a note. So yeah, Avengers do get pretty. I mean, even Age of Ultron has some pretty dark moments in there. But I understand what he means. I mean, this is what he said specifically. I knew Zack Snyder was ahead of the curve. It's weird to say that audiences weren't ready for it, but you need a movie like that. You need movies that go so dark so that the Avengers can go so light. I do believe in that. Now, when you listen to what he said, it kind of puts it into context. He's not putting one thing down to lift the other one up. He's saying you need the yin for the yang. Like if a movie like the Zack Snyder Justice League is as dark as it is, then that makes something like the Avengers work as something that is much lighter. Otherwise, they will all feel the same, and I guess things will just blend in together, and they'll people can't differentiate them much. Do you see like what he's trying to say, and do you agree with this perspective?
I get it.
Yeah,
I get it, because it's like, I don't think like one vision, but the thing is, I don't think one company should be light and one company should be dark. Although it is ironic because for years Marvel was the dark one and DC was the light one. So the fact that they switched on screen was kind of funny. But I think like it should depend on the movie. Like I don't think it should be like DC does dark movies and Marvel does light movies. I think, you know, one like a Superman movie should be light, but then a Batman movie can be dark. And then like Swamp Thing can be like a horror movie and like this, that, or like I don't think they should all be, because like the general audience doesn't fucking care. Like it's been known that like, you know, I like people like probably go up to Chris Evans being like, I love DC. Like they don't fucking know the company. They don't give a shit. And so it's like a whole thing. I don't think they really care about like one company versus the other because it's just a superhero movie to them. It's not like, oh my God, this is a DC movie versus a Marvel movie. They don't care. It's fine. But like, I don't think it should be encompassing dark versus encompassing light. I think it just depends on the movie and what that character is, I think. But that's just how I feel.
I agree. I think you can have a. I mean, Aquaman was admittedly a much brighter movie, both by the color palette and the themes it explores, versus something like Zack Snyder's Justice League. You can have the range, and obviously we have mentioned Marvel can go dark and go light. The first Avengers movie, in comparison to something like Endgame, was a lot brighter, but then Endgame starts out with half the world gone and everybody who's alive is depressed. So, I mean, Liz, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think he was he's on the money like Patrick Wilson? Because when you read the full quote, it sounds like he's much more level-headed about this, and he's making that yin-yang comparison rather than saying, oh, one is better than the other, or one needs to exist for the other one to exist. What are your thoughts on what he had to say?
I mean, I'm tired of this narrative in general. Like, I'm so sick and tired of talking about it and people having like feeling they need to like defend Zack Snyder. Like, he made what he made. People responded the way they responded. But this is also coming from a person it's really hypocritical of me to say, because I'm somebody that I'm going to a Comic-Con at the end of this month. I'm going to 2 more at the end of the year. So like questions like this are going to get brought up. This narrative is going to continue on until I fucking die, and even it's probably going to outlive me, because fans are going to fan. But like, okay, like I read it and I'm like, all right, like that's one man's take on it. Sure. I also kind of feel like he's stating the obvious a little bit, because again, if you've been paying attention, if you've watched all of the various iterations and films and productions, like, yeah, like there are going to be different tones. And okay, like it's just like I'm just so fucking tired of talking about it. I really am. Which maybe this isn't the show for me. I don't know.
Well, I mean, look, on it, here's what I will say. Well, his perspective certainly sounds a lot more mature than sometimes people are saying.
Of course, I respect that.
Like he's not bashing anything.
From the guy who then like did 2 Aquaman movies, which obviously again are completely different tonality. Like
it's fair, but I mean, he was part of the larger cinematic universe. I understand. Plus, he's been
his first appearance in the DCEU was as the president over a conference call in BVS. So
he was involved in that movie.
He's been on both sides of it. Yeah.
But I mean, also he's been part of the Conjuring universe. So obviously, I think maybe he leans darker in terms of like the kind of movies that he likes to do in general. I mean, he was part of but you got to remember, Patrick Wilson was in The Watchmen, right? Like he's worked with Zack Snyder for years, well before the DCU was ever a thing.
Watchmen,
even so,
hello.
Yeah. So I mean,
was he in 300? Was he?
What? I don't know if he was. Somebody let us know. I don't know if he was in 300.
He might have been equal.
But I don't know. I by the way, that fight at the end of the first Aquaman movie between what was the name of his character? What was the name of the character? The brother of Aquaman. Orm and Aquaman's fight at the end of the first Aquaman movie is one of the best shot comic book movie sequences I've seen in a long time. The fight choreography, the cinematics. James Wan knows how to make a superhero movie in terms of like the visuals. I mean, the story was a little bumpy and all the humor didn't hit. But there were also funny moments in the second Aquaman movie, although it was a much more uneven film. Overall, I look back at the DCU and look at it, you know what, there was a lot of mistakes made, but there were some really good things that came out of it. I still think to this day Man of Steel is the best Superman movie ever made, but we have got another Superman movie on the horizon, so we'll see. Now, speaking of the new DCU, and speaking of the DCEU, Grace Carolyn Curry, who played, of course, one of the Shazam family in the DCEU, she played.
I would say.
She did play Mary Marvel in the Shazam family, and of course she wants to come.
Brother never told you never threaten a man's family.
She would like to come back to the world of DC, except as part of the new DCU. Are you surprised by this? I mean, given he kind of grew up like between the first and the second movies, like she went from being basically a teenager to like a full-blown adult, and a lot of, I mean, the internet would love to see her back. I've seen so many posts about DC groups and fan pages saying, bring her into the new DCU, maybe even have her play Wonder Woman or something. I mean, what are your thoughts on potentially seeing her?
Like, she has, I think she's a very good actress. I mean, I've heard her performance in Fall was quite good, but I'd like to see her in more stuff. I think she's talented, and I know, you know, it's hard because like Shazam, I feel like has been kind of tainted because the sequel in the eyes of the public was not very good. I loved it. I loved, you know, Fury of the Gods. I thought that was great. But but you also have like Zachary Levi being a dickhead, so there's that too, unfortunately. But I think I would like to see any of them back in different roles. Like, I mean, we finally got to see Adam Brody and DJ Catrona as heroes after Justice League Mortal got nixed, because they were supposed to be Superman and the Flash. So it was nice for them to be in prominent roles in not one, but two big superhero films after they didn't get that chance like almost 20 years ago at this point. So that was nice. So I'd like to see her get another chance, whether it is Wonder Woman, maybe it's another character, maybe a Zatanna could be a good one. Maybe someone even smaller than that. I'd like to see, you know, DJ Catrona, Megan Good. I could see her as, I could see them all. Like, just unfortunately, just gotta fucking just nick Zachary Levi, unfortunately, because I like him as an actor. I think he's funny. It's just no.
But then he opens his mouth and talks.
And then he talks.
The studio,
and then he
that's
talks.
a problem. Yeah.
He has the Andy Muschietti problem.
This is coming from someone who's met him twice and absolutely adored him until he started saying things. So yeah.
So that's the unfortunate part. But like I think Ian Chen was the older Eugene Choi. I think that's what his name. I could be messing that up. He was on Riverdale. But I thought all of them were good, and I think all of them deserve another chance at different roles. But I've seen her as fan casted as Wonder Woman so much, but like I could see that, and it would kind of fit with the age now. And she's also immortal, so like they can make her any age they want, and it would probably be fine. But yeah, I'd love to see her, and I think she's a good actress. And let's do it, guys. Let's
I mean, Liz, I was going to ask you the question. Grace Carolyn Curry, you are a big fan of the first Shazam movie. You didn't have as much of a good time with the second one.
I'm a fan of the second one as well. But again, maybe it's because I'm biased because I absolutely adored the first Shazam movie. Like the moment it was available on DVD, I went out and got it. I fucking love that movie. But I like her. I think she would be great. I'd like to see her do more things. I'd like to see the majority of the cast from those films do more things. So yeah, good for her. We'll see what happens.
Would you see her as a good Wonder Woman potentially, Liz?
Like, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I don't think it's just Mikey Madison. She has an Oscar now. Let's just not have her.
She's probably not going to get work for a while, to be perfectly honest. That's the Oscar curse. Everybody knows that. So.
Yeah, that is fair. But like,
I heard she was.
I feel like let's not have her immediately go into superhero stuff. Like have her wait a bit and then go into superhero stuff. It's like not immediately. But I don't know. Maybe I'm biased with Mikey Madison because like I just saw everyone being like she was the greatest thing since sliced bread for like 6 months. And then on top of the fact I fucking hate Scream 5 and she was one of the most forgettable killers in that franchise, and that's saying something. Although speaking of Jack Quaid, so I'm a little biased, so there's that, but I don't know. I can't see her as a Zatanna. I think one, she's too young, and
we
two,
saw
like,
her
man.
naked quite a lot in Anora. I don't see DC like calling her and being like, come be a superhero for like right away. So
she was a potentially rumored to be being considered for Sergeant Rock for a role in that.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, I guess that would make a
seeing
little
that.
more sense, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, sorry, I'm off camera. All right, here I am back in the game. So now, speaking of Sergeant Rock, of course, let's talk about our main story of the day, shall we? It looks like Colin Farrell. Liz, Kiss Me, I'm Irish is St. Patty's Day, and Colin Farrell has been sweeping the award season. He's won pretty much every award that was available and up for grabs
And
for the
rightfully
Penguin.
so, thank you very much. I love the man.
And now he's circling the Luca Guadagnino and DC Sergeant Rock movie. We, of course, know Daniel Craig was initially being considered. There's a script that's being written. James Gunn and Peter Safran have sort of hinted that the movie exists, or at least the idea of the movie exists. And now Colin Farrell is in talks. It looks like he wants to play Sergeant Rock. We know this is going to be part of the DCU. This article mentioned, and everybody who's reported on this, they said that this movie obviously will be part of the DCU. So it's not connected to the Batman universe where he plays the Penguin. So it's not going to affect his ability to come back as a Penguin. He's already doing that in the second Batman movie.
Take Alan Richardson's name out your mouth. Y'all know how I feel. I know nothing about Sergeant Rock. I don't know fuck all about any of the characters. But I love Colin Farrell. I'd be happy to see him in any iteration, whether he be a villain, whether it be a side character, whether he just come in and give a wave as Oz Cobb. If we are going to try and connect the two storylines, whatever. I don't care. I love him. I want to see more of him. And the more I hear about Sergeant Rock, the more I am intrigued. Again, with all the different people that they are trying to attach to the film. I know Daniel Craig has passed, but I mean, hey, I'm fine with it. So hooray, good for him.
Yeah.
Don?
I mean, if he can do it, then cool.
Do we think they want him for Sergeant Rock, or do we think we want him for something else? I could see him being more of like a villain than necessarily this,
Well, he's
out
specifically
army guy.
saying Sergeant Rock. Like,
Okay.
I could see him like maybe needs to bulk up a little bit, but I think but it's just kind of weird. It's like you're already it's not even like a Marvel versus DC. You're literally in a DC project as a pretty big character. So it's weird how you want to do something else DC, like in a different continuity, as like the only thing I can see is like this one doesn't involve prosthetics. Cool, I'm in. Let me do it.
Yeah,
So,
maybe.
like,
Yeah.
I can maybe see that. It's just like, and there probably won't be a sequel, but it's just kind of weird how it's just like he's interested in this. He's like, guess I'll do something else DC related while we wait for this fucking sequel to fucking happen. Because God knows I'm probably gonna be like a skeleton by the time this comes out. So I might as well do something else DC related. And he's like, Sergeant Rock, I'll do that. And I'm not against it. It's just like, if he can do both, then do them. Like, by all means, he's an actor. He's a versatile actor. Fucking go with both. As long as like the scheduling works and he can do both, then do it. And if they like him enough and they want him, then do it. But like, only if they can make that work. Because like, I'd hate to like see him like in this and then he can't do the Batman Part 2, which would be kind of suckish. But I mean, I understand he only has like a couple scenes, like 5 or 6 scenes according to him, so it's not going to be like a long shoot for him. But even then, I would like to see I would like to, timeline wise, scheduling wise, prefer to get that under wraps, and then if he can do it, then do it.
And speaking of the timeline, this is the thing about the article that they mentioned. Obviously, like, this is not going to overlap with his commitment to the Penguin. The Penguin, he's going to be, like you said, he's going to be filming a few scenes for that later this year whenever the Batman 2 starts filming. But then he's also got a few other things lined up. He's got the second season of Apple TV Plus's Sugar. And of course, there's an Edward Berger movie, The Ballad of a Small Player. Those two projects are significant, especially the TV show, because TV show he might be filming for longer than even the movie. And that show got renewed late last year, and we know it's coming back with the second season. And of course, Colin Farrell being the star, he's already got these 2 commitments. So that's like the big qualifier. The scheduling for this film has to work out. And so my question to you guys would be this. Let's just assume that the scheduling works out. Do you think that this is the right fit for the role? And then also, if the scheduling doesn't work out, can this movie afford to lose after already having Daniel Craig walk away, an actor of Colin Farrell's magnitude walk away again? Because at that point, you're like, well, who are you going to get? Because like 2 A-listers have walked away from the project. So kind of playing both the yin and the yang, do you think if it does work out, do you think he's a good fit? And if it doesn't, I mean, where do we go from here? Like this, it just would feel like every big actor that gets associated with it walks away.
That's all I ask.
That fair enough. Isn't he already doing something else? He just signed up for was it like a Star Wars or something? He's got a big franchise thing coming up. I mean, but Liz, what do you think? Do you think Colin Farrell would fit the bill? And then also, what are your thoughts if he walks away because his schedule doesn't work out? Where do they go next?
I mean, it sounds like he's interested enough that I don't think schedule will be a problem. I think he'll find a way to make it work. I mean, Michael J. Fox did 2 projects at the same time to start in the beginning of his career, and Colin likes to work. Colin likes to keep busy. He likes to have stuff to do, and so far he's been very happy with DC and with working with their people. So I think he'll make it work. I don't know necessarily that I can see him as the title role, but if that's what he wants, the man's been winning awards, he's going to get what he wants. So whatever. I love him. Again, I'm here for it, whatever he wants to do. So we'll see what
also
happens.
fair. That's also fair.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, this might not be as VFX heavy.
The Batman 2. The Batman 2, I feel like at this point we're never seeing that fucking movie. So,
Yeah, also he won't have to spend 8 hours in a makeup chair, so things might go a little bit faster.
Yeah. Right,
exactly like you said. I thought, Jeremy Allen White might be playing Bruce Springsteen in a biopic. Well, I guess that will.
No, he is. That's confirmed.
He is
happening.
That is confirmed.
I think,
okay.
Dan, what you're thinking of, he's going to be playing Jabba the Hutt's son in a Star Wars movie or
That's
show.
what I was going to say. Yes. There you go.
Which is weird choice, but okay.
Weird.
Hey, the bear is ending, so might as well just do whatever the fuck you want now.
Well, with this being said, do you think that this movie is gonna go into production at some point this year? Considering that seems to be part of the criteria that whoever they bring on, they want to have them be available pretty soon. Given the push for that, do you feel like this movie they're aiming to have it released next year, or is this still 2027? Where do you think this? Because we don't actually have a release date. Or actually, wait, we don't have a release date for this, right? Like John, this wasn't on the map anywhere, and we don't have an update from James Gunn from that whole that press event that happened recently. So, could it be that March 2027 untitled movie could end up being this? I mean, Liz, do you think they have enough time to turn this thing around for next year, given that, we haven't even really started a lot of pre-production at this point? They're still casting.
No, I mean, I feel like 2027 makes more sense to me than 2026. But again, the way DC's kind of been churning stuff out, you never know. It could be possible. And again, if they have to work around the Penguin season 2, if they have to work around Batman 2, they'll find a way to make it happen. So it's anyone's guess, but I don't think it sounds right before 2027 personally. John?
Yeah, no, I mean, as TC24 said, I can see them kind of churning. If they fucking get it done, they can do it and churn it out, possibly, because they just gotta find a place in the woods and just kind of fucking go from there. Just go into the fucking wilderness and
the place in
Canada.
The woods. That's what it boils down to, really.
Find a fucking place in Canada.
Just guerrilla tactic this movie. That's
and just fucking go
in Alberta,
Canadian wilderness and just fucking film. Boom, you have a movie in less than a month. Just churn it out like Roger Corman, and they should be fine. So yeah, do it like that, and you should be okay.
All right. Well, hey, Colin Farrell circling the movie. Sergeant Rock. Is he gonna be Sergeant Rock? He's the second big star to be attached. He's already got experience with DC. So you can imagine that, you know, he's very familiar with the digs over in Warner Brothers lot, and James Gunn wouldn't mind having him back and be part of the DCU. This would now that he would be the one actor who's part of both cinematic universes that DC has ongoing. So I'm excited to see where that goes. I mean, guys, let us know in the comments down below what you think about the idea of Sergeant Rock potentially joining up, or actually Colin Farrell joining up with Sergeant Rock, and then Sergeant Rock joining up with the larger DCU. Of course, we've already hinted at that in the Creature Commando show, getting a second season. So maybe he can even voice the character in the animated series as well. So with that in mind, that brings us to the end of DCU Daily. So let us know down below what you think about all the stories. Hit the like button while you're at it. Hit subscribe if you're new, because of course, as the name implies, we are here Monday through Friday on DCU Daily. But we're not done yet, guys, because we do, as always, have to look ahead to the movies that are coming out this week. That includes, of course, Snow White. Snow White is coming out in a few days from now, and depending on when you're watching this, if you are watching us live, then yes, it is a few days away. And it's a movie that has garnered a fair amount of controversy, I guess is one way of putting it, but you know, we've been seeing some first reactions come out, and it sounds like people are liking it more than maybe a lot of us expected them to. So I'm curious, guys, what are your thoughts on Snow White? Are you excited? Are you just like, get this over with? What are your thoughts on this movie right now?
No. It looks like shit. I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna hate watch it. I think they did Rachel really dirty. I've seen some fan art that makes her look so much better than they make her in this film. The dwarves look at like absolute ass. The CGI is fucking disgraceful. Like, people should be fired. It's just the whole thing. The writing sounds absolutely shit from the couple lines that you get in the trailer. I am not looking forward to it, and it infuriates me because this is gonna make so much fucking money, just like Moana 2 should not have. So the whole thing is just infuriating. It's gonna be absolute fucking ass, and yet. Yeah. Everybody's going to be flocking to the theater with their fucking kids because apparently, you know, sitting at home watching quality shit on other platforms is just not the way of the world anymore. I don't understand it. And I'm not spending my money on it, Ron. I have a wonderful membership. Technically, I get this film for free. So that's why I have no problem going to see it. I am seeing it so that y'all don't have to. This is what I do, gang. I see films. I hate watch them. So I can tell you that they are the absolute ass that I anticipate them to be. So that's the crux there. But yeah, the moment I saw the first couple of images, the moment I saw the first trailer for it, with all the controversy surrounding the dwarves, and the actors that they didn't hire.
The 9 dwarves, right? I'm just kidding.
I mean, they got some big names to play the dwarves. I'm happy for those people. I hope they get a nice payday out of it. But fuck me, this looks like absolute ass in every sense of the word. Oh my God! If
that's why I refuse to fucking
miss me with this film. I'm furious that I have to go fucking watch it, but watch it I will.
It just looks boring. Like, I don't like any of the live action remakes. I think all of them are just bad, and they lose the spirit.
And again, the special effects just look like absolute shit. When Gal turns into the old hag, she looks like absolute shit. The dwarves look like absolute shit. Again, they did Rachel so dirty with the costume.
I mean, Rachel did herself dirty because she wouldn't shut the fuck up. But there's also that too.
Well, I mean, they're both outspoken actresses for different reasons, but I don't know. I mean, John, are you excited to see this movie, John? Are you going to see it at all?
Nope.
Thank you, Ron. Mufasa was absolute ass. Thank you so much.
Nope. It looks like shit. I'm not excited. I hate this. The live action remake trend needs to fucking die. I'm so sick of it. It's just so, because like, I will only give, like, here's the thing. You could have made something out of this. Like, any movie that's based on like a grim fairy tale, or like any like older fairy tale that has existed for centuries, you could have done something with that. You could have done something unique with that, like what Cinderella did. It was just, that movie felt like, oh, a Cinderella movie that just so happened to be a remake of the Disney version, because that felt like a Kenneth Branagh movie. Like, he did his own thing. He took the parts from the original that worked and put it in his movie, but then embellished other aspects that maybe didn't work. He gave the prince some depth, you know. He casted actors that looked like the parts and did these parts, and like, it was written well, and they, you know, did certain things that helped, you know, build it up a little bit more. And that's what they like. stuff with like Beauty and the Beast. It was just like the exactly Lifeless is like Beauty and the Beast. Oh, it's just the 1991 movie, but it has like 3 extra scenes in it that makes it unique. This movie looks like a shot-for-shot remake, but dumb. I mean, I know it's not Disney, but How to Train Your Dragon, another live-action remake coming out, it looks shot-for-shot, but dumb. And so it's like Little Mermaid, just looks shot-for-shot, but dumb, and with like, oh, they changed the ending because reasons. So
and they added an extra song
and as
and a
well as
couple extra
not
scenes.
understanding what
Yeah.
made the original movie work in the first place. So there's that as well. So
I liked the shot for shot with the first Lion King because it made sense to me. Like again, we're going from animated to CGI, so like that made a little more sense. But I agree with you when you've got actual actors portraying these characters, and it's enough is enough already.
And it just feels weird to me. Like you could go back to the original fairy tales and do something else with like Snow White, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast. Like all of these
but you could also just production, makeup, costume, rendering wise, you could do so much better. I don't understand how anybody saw this film and was like, oh, this piece of shit is going to make us millions. And it fucking will. That's the worst part, is that it fucking will. It's going to bring in so much goddamn money. It's infuriating. It looks like absolute shit.
Well, this is... Look, I think the Snow White property is still it's the original animated Disney movie, right? It's the very first one that they put out that became a cult, not just cult, it became a classic. They should do it justice. And no, I agree with you, but I mean, look, as far as these early reactions go, it premiered, and people obviously were at the premiere, and some of the people who were there have been gushing about it, saying, look, aside from the CGI dwarves, it's actually mostly successful. That's what Matt DeCrute said of Crooked Media. Then, of course, Paul Klein, a film hound.
I hope that I am. I hope that it proves me wrong. But Mufasa sure as shit didn't. So I'm no.
Well, no. All I'm saying is so far, like the early reactions, 3.5 out of 5. One person rated it. They're saying like, look, the CGI dwarves was a baffling choice, but they enjoyed the musical numbers. They might regret saying that it's great. I mean, you had Christopher Mills from Christopher Rated saying it's the biggest surprise of 2025. So, and then Screen Rant like saying despite the Bob being all over the place, Snow White is quite charming. So I'm just gonna say let's just see how it is. You know, this is one of those movies where you might be pleasantly surprised, or like your expectations are so low, just how disappointed can you really be? So we'll see. We'll see where it ends up. What I would say
just fucking watch the original. Or if you want to see live action Snow Whites, watch Mirror Mirror or Snow White and the Huntsman. Those are probably better than this will ever be.
I mean, Snow White and the Huntsman had its problems, but the bottom line, this movie is going to do just as well, if not better, than Moana 2. And fuck me, I don't understand humanity anymore. I really don't.
Well, I know you guys mentioned that, you know, this movie might not be doing Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler justice. Now, Gal Gadot, I don't know if she's still doing that Cleopatra movie or not, but what I will say is Rachel Zegler, she is going to be on the theater stage in London. She's going to be making her London theater debut as Eva Perón in the Evita. There you go. Yeah. So if you don't enjoy Snow White, but you are a fan of stage plays,
to London and go see this on the West End, I guess.
I mean, hopefully she does well in it. It's a controversial role, and it's a controversial story. So hopefully she does well in it, and this leads to better projects for her. So good luck there.
You know, maybe that's the way to go. Because I remember. After she was in She-Hulk, Tatiana Maslany went to Broadway, and she did a very good job in that. Well, unfortunately, the show closed, which is a shame because it was really good. It was called The Grey House, like very horror-related and really well done. She did a very good job in it. So like maybe that's just the way to do it. Go to theater. Go to the theater after your failed movie or show. Boom.
Well, look, they're both incredibly beautiful.
That's the point. It's going to do really well.
It's gonna. I don't think it's gonna make $1 billion. It's gonna make a decent amount of money. We'll see just how much. Maybe this is gonna be closer to the Little Mermaid in terms of the financial success than it is gonna be to something like the Cinderella movie or Beauty and the Beast. I still think Beauty and the Beast might have been like the best live action remake that they've done. But yeah, hey, look, Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler, two incredibly beautiful women. They're going to be leading this movie, and it is the original animated Disney film they're bringing to life in live action. Whether we like it, we hate it, whether there's 9 dwarves, 8 or 7, go check it out.
Well, listen, it's fine because Lilo and Stitch are going to come out, and we're going to forget all about it. So
we're going to forget all about it. Well, and then when you do go see it, let us know what you think about it down below in the comments, because we want to hear what you have to say about the movie. But we're not here just to talk about or look ahead to Snow White. We also have to talk about The Alto Knights. The Alto Knights is, of course, the movie that has not 1, but 2 Robert De Niro's in it, because he was like, I don't care if these 2 characters aren't related. I can play them both, and you guys will just buy that I'm not the same person. And I guess, you know what? The look of his character would make you believe, like, hey, they are 2 different people. We can still clearly tell they're both being played by the same actor.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to go check this movie out? I mean, given that this is primarily going to serve as counter-programming to Snow White, which is more of the family audience movie, what are your thoughts on this? I want to hear from both of you guys. I guess, John, I'll start with you on this one. What are your thoughts on Alto Knight? Because we reviewed the trailer when it came out a few weeks ago. And this is Warner Brothers, again. I mean, it's a movie that, quite frankly, is up against a family 4-quadrant behemoth of a Snow White movie. Even with all of its controversies, do you think it has a chance of surviving at the box office?
No fucking chance of survival whatsoever, but I don't really give a flying fuck. It's like, finally some good fucking food. You got Robert De Niro. You have the writer of Goodfellas and Casino writing this movie. So, bruh, I'm there. Like, I'm fucking there. Like, you say no more. I don't care. Like, if this ends up sucking, I'll watch this movie because this looks great. And yeah, fuck it. Gimme. And it's got a good cast. Fuck it. Gimme one. Now, like, and Robert De Niro joining Robert Pattinson, Theo James, and eventually Michael B. Jordan this year of playing. This is the year of dual roles, apparently, because like 4 actors doing dual roles. All right, cool. I'm up for it. The cast, Robert De Niro, he plays every role. It's not just that; it's every role. But like, kidding aside, this actually does look very. I knew nothing about this movie. I saw the trailer, and then I was like, immediately, I was like, boom, I'm hooked. Give me more. Let's go. So awesome, great. I'll take it. I'm excited for it. More Robert De Niro, please.
Liz, what do you think? Will you go see it?
I'm gonna see it. I'm trying to be hopeful and optimistic about it. However, I'm concerned for the pacing. Films like this, especially Robert De Niro's attached to it, tend to drag in a lot of spots for me. I'm not looking forward to. I'm sure this is going to be like a fucking 3-hour film. But I also don't think that they did one of Robert's characters really well. If you go back to that first shot that you had shown, he looks like he's wearing a poorly fitted rubber mask, especially around the lip area. Like, it's all I can see. There's that one scene where the 2 of them are at the table, and every time he talks, like, I expect like the lip to just all of a sudden start moving on its own because it looks so poorly made. And it really, really bothers me. It's just so clearly a prosthetic, and the fact that they couldn't do any better for him is a little disappointing. But I'll see it. I hope I enjoy it. I do. I like the films overall, but for me, the biggest thing for me with a film like this is the pacing, and I'm very concerned that I'm going to end up falling asleep in certain spots throughout the film.
It's apparently only 2 hours and 3 minutes, so it's not incredibly long, but we will see pacing wise if it feels like it.
If it feels like it, yeah.
But I'm still stoked. If I'm disappointed, I'm disappointed. It's fine. But I, like, it has like kind of that Martin Scorsese kind of vibe, which I assume is purposeful, all things considering. So yeah, I'm excited.
I'll see it, and I do expect to enjoy it overall as a film as a whole. But is it going to be one that I'm going to want to watch over again? Probably not.
Yeah, we'll just have to see, but I'm definitely seeing it because hell yeah, let's go.
I mean, much like Snow White, though, this movie's Rotten Tomato score isn't out yet because the embargo hasn't lifted. So that to me is a little concerning that both of these movies, obviously Snow White, I understand it might not be the best rated movie potentially, and there's been a lot of controversy around that movie beyond the movie itself. But for the Alto Knights, this would have been the kind of movie where I'm like, put out the reviews early. You want the word of mouth to help you get it there, because it comes out in a few days from when we're doing this show. And this is the kind of movie where you expect the reviews to get you across the front, the finish line, or at least help spread the word, because it's counter programming a bigger movie like Snow White. But like you said, guys, it's got a pretty fantastic cast. Cosmo Jarvis of Shogun in there, Deborah Messing, of course, Robert De Niro times two,
Barry Levinson.
Barry Levinson directing. You've got all the talent in the world. This is one of those bets from Warner Brothers that I hope pays off, because they've got an interesting slate this year. Superman obviously being the center of it, but this being the other one.
It's only 45 million, so we'll see about that too.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't need to make 500 million to break even, so that's the bar is low for that. So that's gonna be what's hopefully works in its favor. Steven saying it looks horrible. David Zaz like, what the heck are you doing? I mean, look,
get the fuck out of here.
Here's the thing. It's not gonna be everybody's cup of tea, but this is in that movie anyway. I don't think it's meant to be everybody's. So. Favorite film. But hey, you know what? That brings us to a close on today's show, everybody. So thanks for watching, as always.
Hours. Crazy.
Let us know what you think about Alto Nights. Are you gonna go watch it? And while you're at it, let us know down below in the comments. If you are interested, hit that like button while you're at it. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. We are here talking about movies pretty much every day now, and DCU Daily. We're here 5 days a week. So hit the notification bell. That way you'll know when we go live. Guys, do you want to let everybody know where they can find you? Liz, I'll start with you.
Try Not to Curse podcast everywhere that you listen to podcasts, and right here, YouTube.
All right, and then John, where can the good people find you?
We're hopefully going to be doing a review of The Day the Earth Blew Up tomorrow on Cool Kids Movie Reviews, and then Saturday things had to get delayed because people had things going on. But we're going to be doing Novocaine hopefully on Saturday, and then maybe Alto Nights on Sunday. We'll just have to see how everyone's schedules line up. But yeah, and then hopefully I can get out a video by the end of the month for my personal channel, because my computer has not wanted to work. So we'll see about that. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, and you can find me back here tomorrow and the rest of the week on Also Curious DCU Daily. So we'll be here with y'all. Until next time, guys, have a good rest of your day, evening, night, wherever you are. Thanks for stopping by. Hit that like button on the way out, and we'll see you next time on another episode of DCU Daily, as well as, of course, Also Curious. See you next time.